Hello, everybody. I'm your host, Eric Bird, here at StopStrugglingNow.com. And tonight, 2026 financial boom. It's coming. February 10th will be the news that the Federal Reserve more than likely will reduce federal funds rate 0.25%. Some of you would say, Eric, that's not enough. You're right, because on the heels of that information, they have already started pumping up the money supply. Quantitative easing has commenced, helping overnight liquidities, helping banks. That means by default, the stock market, the corporations will able to reduce their debt by refinancing. That also means you, the investors, where are you at? Are you ready to say, let's go? Because if you've been sitting on the sidelines already, shame on you. Now is the time, ladies and gentlemen, to consider buying and selling the losers. Selling the losers, buying more now of the winners. And welcome. Stop struggling now, gear. Check. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Now, let's get to it. All right. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you so much for being here. I know it's going to be hectic this holiday season, but do not stop that from keeping your eye on the prize, because all of the money you're wasting on liabilities could be used towards your financial future. And because we don't know what the future entails, other than the richest are always going to be in the stock market. So that means you should be in the stock market. So therefore, you rise when they rise. And by extension, a rising tide lifts all the rest of the boats, but you need the disposable income. So let's get into it, shall we? Because I know Mr. Dividend's going to be here and he's going to say, hey, Eric, will you check the emails? I'm just going to get straight off the bat because we have so many things to cover this evening, mostly going to be about the 2026 financial future. But I wanted to start this off with something that is just bad all the time. It's recalls. Every freaking day there's a recall. Choke recall nation with the number 19 down. USDA, FDA, hands, get out. Because if you go by charting and things of this nature, it should increase in 2026 past the 125 number. And seeing how there's things that are happening out here, like I heard the state of Texas bought Bitcoin. That's right, the state, to put into their treasury. I heard it was $10 million. Well, then I get a email with a link in it, and it says $5 million. So I'm getting misinformation from several sources. So is it 5 million or 10 million? But the fact of the matter is, here it is. Texas made history by becoming the first US state to buy 5 million in Bitcoin through BlackRock ETF, which means, is that a derivative or are they actually buying Bitcoin? See, this is always the thing. Are you going to be buying a gold miner, a gold ETF? Which does that mean they're buying it? Because that does matter. If you're not actually buying the Bitcoin, then you are actually thin airing it, piece of papering it. Because if it's not your wallet, not your keys, then what are we talking about here? All right. So again, is BlackRock ETF have a wallet that they are keeping uh, the people that invest in it abreast of that wallet address? So then you can see how much is really in there. I mean, is that what we're doing, or are we doing the old fashioned things with ETFs? They just go assets under management. So therefore, you don't know where the funds are distributed unless they have to report due to regulations. But nonetheless, this is how you get Bitcoin to rise in price. And strategy, micro strategy, they are still buying Bitcoin. They're going to keep buying Bitcoin. There's going to be other ETFs buying Bitcoin. So Bitcoin will rise as well. Gold, silver, and precious metals. This could be the most funny economic cycle ever. Because we are printing more money, adding more money to the money supply with the big beautiful bill, tax cut, tax breaks, Federal Reserve reducing rates, overnight liquidity, adding money to the money supply. If we're doing all this, doesn't it make sense that gold and silver should also rise due to inflation and money supply inflating, meaning you're reducing the dollar value? Doesn't that make sense? You should be raising the roof so you can understand. It should be all hands on deck, because this wealth transfer that's about to happen, I predict this will be the last one. And why do I predict this of any significance? The reason I say this is because 80% of the population are living paycheck to paycheck right now. And nobody has disposable money that they can go to invest. I shouldn't say nobody, it's not absolute. It's the majority of people cannot use a significant amount of disposable income to invest and wait, because you have to wait too. It's not like you're going to change things in a month or two. Yes, you can, because things pop up with the stock market or crypto and things like that. But the fact of the matter is, it's generally long term. While you're waiting long term, I'm dropping a video tomorrow. Most people don't watch them on Saturday, but I'm still going to drop it. It's going to show you the bad signs. And when you see all the bad signs, you're going to sit there and go, it's a wonder the stock market can boost up. But once you get the number, top 10% of the top stocks, the indexes are weighted above 75%. That's right. Just the top 10, the other 90% is barely weighted on the stock exchange. So is those the names Microsoft, Tesla's, Amazon, Nvidia, the names Apple, all right? They are the top 10 and part of the top 10%. So if they go up 1%, the whole index generally has to go up at least 0.7, 0.5 or more. So this is why they are backed by the government. They're going to win. You need to be invested, whether it's an ETF, like a Vanguard group. You guys know we're big here on Vanguard, VOOG, SPY for the S&P 500, the QQQ, got to get some NASDAQ, all of this. They're weighted heavily on the top 10%. The biggest names you know have an advantage. Their capitalization, some are already in the trillions. Like Nvidia is 4 trillion. That's unheard of if somebody would have said that 10 years ago. They would have said, you've lost your mind. What happened? So you have to be in the game. Being in the game means you need to download the software. Let me know if you're in the house tonight. Make sure the comment section is open. Comment section is open. And hello, everybody, again. Now, down below in the description box, if you want to get in the game and you haven't already, I don't know how you have not, you need to have a brokerage account. And so I'll just use some names. I mean, Fidelity is nice. I mean, JP Morgan's a bank, but yes, you can have a JP Morgan brokerage account. You can have an E-Trade brokerage account, or you can use apps and have a brokerage account. Robinhood, Webull, Moomoo, and there's a myriad of others. All three that I just mentioned, they do give you free shares of stock when you sign up. Robinhood's the only one that gives you one share of stock. Moomoo and Webull give you more than one share of stock. With their requirements, you have to make a deposit of $100 or more, which you should do if you had it, because you're going to need that to invest. Which somewhere after January 15th or so, a lot of workers who have 401ks are going to get their statements for the year. And I'm going to be curious what their statement says for the year, because the stock market has reached all-time record highs numerous times. So there's no reason why you should settle or expect that you're going to have something that says 7% or 8% or 9%. That would be a travesty, in my opinion. So we're going to find out. And there's something else too, because if you don't want to be investing yourself, then that's why you have to go to an ETF, Vanguard Group, BlackRock, or whoever you want to go with. They will give you a percentage increase on the rise, and you may get a little bit of dividends, but that would be very minor. And so once you do it that way, then you're locked in very nicely, I'll add. But again, these are the type of things you need to do, ladies and gentlemen, to make sure that you can build wealth, even if you're making ends meet. You have to have money, making money while you're sleeping, while you're at work, while you're sick, while you just never know what's going to happen. So with that said, check this out. I will check this out. There is Wealthfront also, because some people, I just mentioned Vanguard and all that. Wealthfront down below in the description box. There's that. If you want to set it and forget it, they don't charge you any fees. So you can go that route. All right. Or choose the one you want. MDA 0214. Another investor is here, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. And he says, I will argue that unless you have $5+ million portfolio, diversifying is hurting your portfolio. You got that right. You got that right. I agree 100%. You cannot hold it in one thing. You must diversify. It's a must. I don't know who would suggest that you should just, for instance, put I won't use the Bitcoin, but at 5 million. But let's just say nobody would suggest to buy, if you had $5 million, nobody would say put all 5 million in Bitcoin. Nobody's going to say put all 5 million in stocks either. You're going to need liquidity. You need some safer investments, because 5 million's a lot. The way things are going right now, you may not be able to make as much money as you used to, unless, of course, if you had 5 million, you might have a business. But even then, you don't know what a business is going to do next year. We have no idea the repercussions of what's going to happen. We've never had tariff wars against the world that has lasted any significant amount of times because things already occurred before we can find out of it what happens 3 years later. Because stuff would happen a year and a half, a year later. And so we never got that far. It's only happened like twice in America. And any time it's happened, it's been very bad. Great Depression one time in the 1930s, and people don't talk enough about the 1890s. All right. So those are two times where presidents were doing this tariff thing, and both times it was a disaster for the citizens of the country. So Gus, keep this in mind. So he's exactly right. You need to put it in portfolio form, diversification. So if you say, okay, I have stocks, that's great. You say I have gold and silver or precious metals, you're great. If I have Bitcoin, great. You should have several different types of asset classes, just so you know. And some increase higher than others. Like, for instance, Bitcoin has been traditionally, on average, 25% a year. So speaking of that right now, MDA0214, since uh, we're talking about some Bitcoin, I was talking about Bitcoin. Look at this. What was, how much was Bitcoin? Bitcoin, January 1st, 2025. Let's go see what it was at. Because it's 25% on average. So here you go. January 1st, 94,443. So when it went to 120, when it went to 115, 120, whatever it was in that area, especially 125, we already know that would have been over their 25% average, right? Well, I don't know what their year over year is, but if we go January 1st and it's going to be December 31st and they're going to start plugging in money in other states and everybody's going to start buying Bitcoin, just as fast as it went from 125 down to 85,000, it could easily jump from 90,000 to 130,000, especially if you have buyers. Because there is a thing at the end of the year. A lot of the big boys, the ETFs, they sell the losers because it is a tax write-off. Then they rebuy before the end of the year. Volatility incoming is all I can tell you. So I agree with him 120%. That's what we talk about here. You got to diversify. And if you're lucky enough to sustain a business or passive income from other areas, other sources besides just regular assets, business, or you do arbitrage by getting products from outside the US, inside the US, selling it on social media, TikToks, platforms, or wherever, whatnot, eBay, whatever, then Amazon, then there goes an opportunity as well. But just remember, business is going to be hard if your customers and consumers don't have money to spend. Right now, consumers always have money to spend because you have credit cards for Christmas, because that's emotional, right? You want to impress a family, friends, children, not impress, but you want to buy, show your love, and showing your love via buying is, I don't recommend it, but you're going to buy a little gifts because it's tradition. But basically, it's an economic capitalistic system because they have put these in place. Easter Bunny, fake. Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, fake, right? All these other holidays, Mother's Day, number one restaurant day in America is Mother's Day. So all these holidays, July 4th, fireworks. Every 3 months or less, there's holidays and that manufactures sales. So you got to keep thinking a fool and his money will be departed all the time. That money you're buying this Christmas season, you're buying liabilities and not buying the same amount in assets that's going to make you money while you sleep is a mistake. Because I'm going to say if our economy goes sideways like it was 1973 up until 1981, jobs aren't readily available, high paying jobs are not readily available, and you have no assets helping you along the way, that would be a huge mistake. Just saying. All right. This goes along with what MDA 0214 is saying regarding portfolio. Your life has to be a portfolio, a diversified portfolio as well. You can't just keep buying liabilities and think everything's going to be fine later. I'll use a perfect example. Sporting figures who have these nice contracts that most people don't earn $8 million in their lifetime, and people have contracts that are paying them 10 million, 15 million, 20 million, 30 million a year. This isn't everybody, but a large percentage of them have over $1 million annually as their source of income. And some of you would go, well, Eric, what about taxes? Okay, we got the tax thing. It's almost 50%. But the point is, most people aren't going to have in their lifetime $5 to $10 million that they can touch. So therefore, all these people, there's a large percentage of people that do make or have that ability going right as we speak, but they're buying liabilities. So you go, okay, I made $10 million. I get to keep 6 million. I get to go, oh, let me go buy this $2 million house. Let me go get this $600,000 car. Let me get my parents, whatever, $700,000 house. Let them get them a car, other family member. Next thing you done spent 1 year's worth of salary. And guess what else happened? All those things you just bought are liabilities. And what about your ongoing expenses, your car registration every year because you bought that 1 million or 800,000, $500,000 car? Maintenance and upkeep, you forgot about that. Maintenance upkeep for your house that you bought, that $2 million house, you forgot about how much that costs every year, whether you live there or not. So all of these things people forget about and they call them assets, when in fact, this is why you cannot buy your family members $1 million house when they're used to living in a $250,000 house, and then expect them to pay the 25 grand or 20 grand or 30 grand, depending on what state you're in, taxes for the year. That would be ludicrous. So you're going to pay it, right? The lawn is normally a little larger. Your parents are aging. You're not going to have them out there. So now the lawn care guy goes, oh, you live in that nice neighborhood. I think I'm going to charge you guys like $500 a month, and you're going to pay it because nobody else is coming up here for $500 a month. You're going to pay it because they can't afford it. You want it to be hot shot and go buy them $150,000 cars. Well, they're 2 or 3 years old. Great. Guess who's going to be paying that maintenance bill? You will be paying it. You're the one with all the money. They can't afford it. They're living paycheck to paycheck. It's nice of you, but those are liabilities. The best thing you could have done is what Reebok did for Allen Iverson. Reebok gave him an annuity. I think it's around 30 million. He's out there spending his money like it was water. But because of what Reebok did in his older age, he has money. He has this lump sum that he has access to eventually. So that's the idea you should be thinking about. How are you going to pass this, keep this in the family, right? Trust or something of that nature. You should be thinking about diversification, trying to keep the assets instead of letting them go. Let's go see. Okay, Alpha Romeo 29, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. Thank you so much for being in the house tonight. We have a person's name I've never seen before, so if you are new to the channel, thank you so much for being here. MDA 0214, why is that? Why risk losing everything but not having any diversification? Alpha Romeo, I think he meant you should be diversified. I will argue that unless you have a $5 million portfolio, diversifying is hurting your he's saying diversifying is hurting your portfolio. Okay, I misread it. I was saying you should be diversified. I don't believe you should put all your eggs in one basket, because this is what's going to happen traditionally. Oh, wait till you see the video. In fact, you know what? I'll give you something right here. I'll give you. I don't know if I can. Yeah, I think I can. Let me see if I can add this to the live stream. I have something. The S&P 500, the last like 40 years. Check this out. Speaking of not diversifying, I'm going to use this as an example. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, yeah, I will be able to find it. Okay, cool. These are just images. Here's the top 10% of the largest U.S. stocks, over 75% weighted on the indexes. Just keep that in mind. So that's why there's movement on the stock market when these places go down. Hold on a second. I'm having a little problem here. Let me get back to the screen. What's happening? All right. So I'm gonna. Oh yeah, here we go. Let's do it this way. Sure. Okay, that's cool. All right. Here you go. You can see it right here. This is what I was talking about. Weighted. The stock market is weighted. Now, this diversification thing, you should be diversified. Let's put it to you another way. If a person just said, I have Bitcoin, they just entered the Bitcoin market in the last 4 months. And they said, okay, I'm going to use, I don't know what it could be. That'd be crazy to me, but let's just say they have 500,000 they want to put into Bitcoin. And at the time it was, let's call it 120 grand. The fact of the matter is their 500,000 would now be 400,000. And if they're not diversified, taking advantage of the stock market moving up, also over this time, hitting new record highs, then he has not been diversified. He would still be down 30%. And down 30% means I have to come back higher than 30%. So to me, I don't know why that would be a good thing not to be diversified. Gold, silver going up because inflation is running rampant regardless of what our government says. Stock market, number one. And by the way, I haven't gotten there yet, but I just want you guys to see this on the screen. I'm going to go past a few of these because I made a video. It's going to be like 50 minutes. I couldn't believe it. Look at here, shorting ETFs, by the way. So again, if you're into ETFs, record high shorting at the fastest pace is now. And you can see when you start looking, this is not good. This is not good. When you have traders shorting ETFs at all-time highs, they're expecting a fall. And if you're not diversified and not holding a little bit of gold, a little bit of silver, a little bit of platinum or palladium, a little bit of Bitcoin, and this goes down like people think it will, now that side of the fence drops. At least the other holdings may increase or stay the same. So overall, you should be good because nobody says anything has to come back. I keep reminding people less than 100 years ago, the Great Depression, nobody was coming back if they were just in stocks for 10 years. And by the way, the United States government banned holding gold and silver and had trying to make people turn them in. That's why people started melting it. So again, America has already done some things that you should be wary about. Along with, you should have your money outside of America as well. You should have bank accounts outside of America. You should have stuff, real estate or businesses outside of America or outside of the country that you live in, just in case we have viewers from outside of America all of a sudden. And if we do, please let me know if you're from outside of the United States borders in the chat room. I keep forgetting. See if they've given me some love after they've short-circuited me with the monetization. We'll see, since they gave me monetization back, because in the past, people from outside the US regularly did not see any of the videos. And other than one or two out of Canada, one out of DR, one out of UK, one out of, that's it. We're not talking about, a couple out of Russia whenever somebody would come in and try to spam and do something. Of course, a couple Russian bots. But you can see what's happening right here. This is not good. Look at this economic conditions. Again, I'm not going to get into this. I made a video about it, but you guys can see as I'm scrolling through, you can see here's the $2 billion overnight injection by the Treasury. Debt buyback operation is what they're calling it. I don't really care what you call it. The fact of the matter is they need to make things liquid by giving these markets or banks money. That's not a good thing. I would be liquid too. You would be liquid if somebody opened up their war chest and said, hey, man, maybe you need a $200,000 injection overnight for some liquidity. Oh, yeah, I got a deal I can make to make some money overnight. Somebody going to give me 1% overnight, 2% overnight? Okay, I'll take 3 or 4 G's for you letting me hold this for 24 hours or less. And it didn't cost me nothing. Well, it might have a little bit. But the point is, all right, enough. I'll stop getting into that. Multifamily vacancy also moving up to 7.2. All right. There'll be a video coming out. Look at this. Overnight repurchase agreements. This was December 1st, I believe. Yeah, December 1st. Look at the spike. $30 billion. Okay. Look at this. This is 2025. This is 2021, January 2021. Look at this. And all of a sudden, look at here. December, they start doing this. Look at this here. July, spike. Now look. November 30, January 1st. Look at this. You see, ladies and gentlemen, this is not good. Life expectancy below all these countries. Not good. Not good. Everything bubble. You guys just watch the video tomorrow. You'll see that. Let's see. Where was I going? I wanted to go to let me see, where is it? No, here we go. Right here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me get this on the screen a little bigger for everybody. I don't want anybody to miss this. I don't want anybody to miss this. Here you go. You guys see all this, right? Since 1980, here's the numbers. Numbers don't lie. In the video I did that's going to be released tomorrow, I just basically took it by decades. And in the 80s, 80 to 1990, which should be 81, but nonetheless, 81 to 1990, 80s, you have 2 out of 11 years, all right, down. The other 9 years is up. This is S&P 500. 1991 to 2000. Once again, you only have 2 out of 10. 8 out of 10 is positive. 2001 to 2010 during the Great Recession, 3 times, and the Great Recession was huge, 38% down. The dot-com bust was huge as well. But again, you have 2001 to 2010, 3 down years. 7 out of 10 good. 2011 to 2020, 2 out of 10 again. And here we go. 2022 is the only one thus far. And this year's not going to be down either. So we know from 2021 through 2026, positive. The odds say somewhere between 2026 and 2029 is going to be a recession. This is why people are shorting, and everything that's been happening is the reason why. All right. Hopefully you understand decisions made by a government does matter. All right. But I agree. I think you should diversify. MDA0214, he invests differently. All right. Fidelity is quite nice. That's correct. They have free over-the-counter trading, yes, and more options than Vanguard. You're exactly right, Alfa Romeo. A lot of us have Fidelity. That is exactly the reason why, because of the OTC markets. It's a beautiful thing. And the 401k solo that you can have, that you don't have to have with your company, you can make your own. Your corporation can make one. Fidelity will back you. They'll call you up and they'll say, get your information to double check and make sure that you are a legitimate company and everything's in order. And then you'll have your own company 401k account. You work for your company or any employees, and then you can do a dollar cost match because you run the company, right? If you have profits coming in, you could say we'll match a certain percentage of employees into the 401k that you create for your company. So your company can have a 401k. You can be an employee. You can have a solo 401k. All of that with Fidelity, by the way. So yeah, I agree with you 110%. Off the charts. I love it. I love it. I love it. Brian P. Mr. Dividend has arrived. I'm sure he's doing the little salsa dance tonight because he has dividends with companies that ETFs that give out weekly. That's right, weekly dividends. So I know he's doing good because he has lots of shares. And welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. I've already shared some of your emails with the milk recall, with the $5 million in Bitcoin and others. And again, the tagline. But I'll say this, welcome once again to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. And he says, happy day, Eric. Thank you. Yes, we're breathing. We have food in the cupboards, gas and electric's on. I hope all is well with you and your family. Yes, it's all going well. My aunt just had a little surgery for her skin graft. That's looking good. And it says, happy day, SSN family. Smash that like button. He gave it a one piece. You know how I love that. And he says, we are making money in here. That is the objective. We want the rising tide to lift all boats. We don't want to leave anybody behind. So we will say, I'm saying the opposite. Okay, I hope so. Because I was like, hold on. All right, that's good. Let's go. As far as stocks, not in different markets. I own real estate, gold, but I only own 3 stocks, and most of my money go to one stock, and I'm up 45% on the year. I love that. Okay, good. He is diversified. Exactly. That's a good thing because I was like, I know you're not just doing one thing only. Real estate, again, multifamily, duplexes at least is the minimum. That used to be the golden child to have real estate portfolio. When Airbnb came out, it was flowing real great. That was great. When it wasn't there, it was apartments. It was basically just real estate units. And you would have find renters because there was more than enough people that could afford rents and pay for rents. Insurance was low and things of this. We're in a whole new world right now. Insurance rates are not low, and the repairs needed for a house to keep your insurance, most places are older than 15 years old. So now you're spending money that before you didn't have to spend before expiration of the materials. Most people had a 25-year roof. So, or more. So this notion about an insurance company going, well, if your roof is over 15 years old, we're not going to insure you unless you get a new roof that could potentially be 50 to 75 grand, because now the roofers know insurance companies are requiring it to be insured. And then nobody knew insurance could be any number. 3,000 a year, 7,000 a year, whatever the insurance company deems they need. Nobody anticipated that because people used to have insurance of $500, $700 annually, 1,000, 1,200 annually. This notion of 5, 6, 7 grand annually is a whole nother ballgame. Now you have to find tenants. HOAs have to be able to pay these fees. That causes a disruption in the real estate game. People that own apartments, you guys, well, you won't see it, but tomorrow you'll see the occupancy rate is rising, as I showed there. I think it was at 7.2%. So some would say, okay, that's no big deal. Well, some people are living on a situation with apartments where they're sitting there going, okay, I own 20 units. I need to be like 85% occupied, or I have to raise the rent, not just 10%, but more, which is why that causes vacancies because people can only pay so much. And so you're going to be on a teeter totter potentially down the road unless inflation subsides. But unfortunately, inflation is not going to subside. Yeah, up 45% on some stocks. I mean, if you had Nvidia, I think you might be up 45% for that. I mean, AMD, you'd be up 45%. I mean, there'd be a bunch, if I'm not mistaken, a bunch of the tech stocks. I mean, a bunch, even probably, yeah, even Tesla. I mean, let me go see right now. I'm on Nvidia right now. Let me see. Yeah, it's definitely more than that. No, it's not. It's 30. Oh, I know what I did. I did year to date, but still, it's only 31.8. I thought it would be more. And year over year is 25%. So last year, they're saying December 6th, it was 142. So yeah, if it was year over year, it's 25% for Nvidia, which is nice. I mean, who wouldn't want 25%? That works great. AMD, I'm gonna go guess. I'll guess Tesla for sure is more than that. AMD is 54%. Congratulations. And by the way, their stock price is higher than Nvidia's. It's 217. That's crazy. Nvidia's at 182. Weird. Tesla, I'm pretty okay. Tesla's stock was one something a year ago, I think. So yeah, they're definitely. Let's go see what happened. Let's see what Tesla's got. Yeah, it's $455. So it wasn't 100 last year. Geez, time flew by. It must have been a year and a half. But anyhow, 23.4% for Tesla. I mean, all this is nice if you're an investor, kind of, because it's in the books that you got 20% increases. Um, I got to check out Intel because they should also be more than 30 or 40%. Let's see. Let's get a look. 99%. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, because we were talking about it when it was somebody asked their stock was like, I thought it was $17 or something, $17, $18. And they said, do you think it's a good idea? I said, hell yeah. You should buy Intel. Come on, let's get real. All right, there we go. I'm glad to hear there is some diversification going down because it's necessary. All right, why is this doing this? I don't know why I have these. I have stuff on the screen. I can't read this. Okay, nice. I bought precious metals and mining stocks, so I'm up a lot. Exactly. I'm well diversified, but I'm also in my early 20s. I have lots of mining stocks because I don't know which mining stocks is better than another. Well, again, you're on the right track that you're actually even in the game of stocks. You're on the right track, and since you're so young, that gives you a huge advantage over your counterparts that are not. So stay the course. Stay the course because everybody doesn't understand. Like, when was the last downturn since I have it on the screen? When was the last one? Was it 2020 or so? Let me go look. I got to go pull it up singularly. 2022. All right. So basically, if you're young, you know about the pandemic. But see, the pandemic, even though the S&P shows a negative 20%, the thing, though, is the stock prices were so low that people, if they would have invested like before March or April of 2022, I think it was, then you would have been at a low price, not the S&P 500. You would have been at a very, very low price. So just keep that in mind. All right? Just keep that in mind. I got to do something real quick, so I'll be right back in about 1 minute. You know, we have something here, right? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back. All right, let's get this back down. All right. I wonder why that is. I'm trying to figure that. I got something in my back office. Okay. But doing a great job, man. Uh, Earlier the better, so you understand. Then you'll also get a little education because now that you see what the S&P does, actually Nasdaq and Dow Jones mirrors the same recessions, the same downturns in the markets are generally the same. It just depends on what's more severe. But the fact of the matter is, it always comes roaring back. And that is a trait of how the system works. But one of these days, it won't come roaring back. It'll be like the 1930s, like I said. So you just have to be patient when you're younger, but you have a longer runway. So you can be a little more patient. And when the stock prices dip, you're able to pick them up if there is such a thing as a recession where stocks drop 30, 40%, because that's the sign of a recession, right? 30, 40% drop is significant. So you want to take advantages. So great job. Great job with that. Uh, Alpha Romeo 29. Okay, Alpha Romeo 29. I do a lot of research. I listen to earnings calls. I watch the charts. I read the financials, include notes. So I have confidence in my ability to manage the position. Yep, that's what it takes. Uh, that's one of the things that Americans and people that want to invest or do invest, they don't take enough time. Back in the day when I was growing up, it was very simple. There was no internet, hardly. It just came out, but it wasn't configured like it is now. So what we see as the internet for the markets, the guys who had hedge funds, the guys who had control of the money, that's the tools that they're using that we've been using way back in the 90s, right? 80s and before. But the general population, you had to call up a broker to make a trade. There was none of this. I can just go over to Fidelity or any of this stuff right now electronically and do it myself. All right. So it was a slower system. It was a different system. And now we have an instant system where everybody has access pretty much. The only difference is who has access first, right? That's the real deal. I mean, I enter a trade on my platform, but is it at the first source where somebody else could be scalping because they're able to see my trade and then enter in to buy from me and then sell to somebody else, or vice versa? A buy that goes up, a sell that goes down, if we're talking about trading. So if you, that's what advantage they used to have. They would be like, oh, like when you called in, it was easier. You call in, you say, hey, I want to buy NVIDIA at 183. That's nice. But the brokerage house goes, who give me? So I got somebody here with 100 shares at 180, 183. And then somebody says, oh, I'll take that, because they can sell that at 184, 185, whatever the case may be, or vice versa, going on the downside. So that has shrunk. And so therefore now we have this similar thing where the markets can shift so fast because more people have instant access. When Jerome Powell comes out and starts talking and says, we're going to decrease interest rates by 0.25, 25 basis points, stock market's going to rise. But see, now we all know it in real time. Back in the day, it was a system that there was going to be a delay, even minutes, so people could enter their positions immediately, like you can do right now. And beforehand, you can enter because it's already predictable what's going to happen. So if you're in the options, then you could actually option your way into knowing 3 or 4 days ago that the Feds are going to increase interest rates and they're going to do quantitative easing. So therefore, the stock market's going to bump up. And since you know the top 10% are weighted the heaviest, top 10% of the top stocks are weighted the heaviest, then you go, well, which of the stocks are probably going to take that? And you could ride a little wave and make a lot of money if you know how to trade. Again, I don't know how to trade. I just been learning because I need that confidence and ability to manage. That's exactly the point. I love what MDA Zero. That's the point about when you invest. You need to have the confidence and understand why you're doing it. You shouldn't just be going, I'm just going to follow or whatever. You should know why it's happening, because once you learn how to fish, you can feed yourself for life. That is nothing more truer than what's been said in the Bible. Let's go. Brian P says, check out your emails. Oh no, man, you sent me some more. No, man, I don't want to see these. They're always bad. Not all bad. I'm just saying they're just bad. Yeah, I talked about the Texas. I talked about the Netflix. Oh no, some dog food is now being recalled. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is getting bad. It's like 2 or 3 recalls a day. Ah, man. Man, oh man. Okay. Let's do the first one we already did was the dairy. I'm going to put in the chat room. It's a recall just from December 8th. That is scary. That is bad. That's terrible. So this recall is just from December 8th. Let me put it in the chat room. Everybody go check this out. Um, this is crazy. All right. But yeah, I'm checking out that. The Magnificent Seven. I see the Mag 7. I can't blame you. Issue with Mag 7 is look at Google, 385 billion revenue and a 3.8 trillion market cap. I know, man. They're overvalued. I'm making a video tomorrow. It's overvalued. All-time high. Go to the Warren Buffett indicator.net. I think it is. Two and a half X overpriced for the stock market. We know. This is why Michael Burry and all the guys that like shorting, the big shorts, that's what they're talking about. They're shorting the market. ETF wise and individual stocks, they're doing it because this is not sustainable. The values are out there. It's ridiculous. It's so far off the charts. It's ridiculous. So they know that. They're not dumb. The only problem is we have the Federal Reserve that is intent on propping up our markets. They're eventually going to crash because of the propping up, because you can't indefinitely keep quantitative easing. You can't indefinitely keep rates lower. And there's repercussions of inflation, which could turn into hyperinflation. This is going to be a fine line once again. Very fine line. This could be a disaster. And we could have where the stock market just drops 50% or something, 30, 40% easily, 50 most likely, if something catastrophic happens, such as the world goes and votes and says, US, you have no longer have world currency. You understand overnight what would happen. This would be bad. And heaven forbid, number 2 up is China, who's against America in all essence, because then they get to dictate, hey, you're 38 trillion over. We're gonna do some, embargoes. Look, we're gonna devalue the currency. We're gonna make sure your currency goes down. And you ain't gonna be able to sell enough oil to keep your currency afloat, and you no longer can print. And if you keep printing money, your currency value is going to go down, and now you're going to be 5-1, 3-1, 2 to whatever it's going to be. So now all of a sudden that would change our ups. We'd be upside down in America. It would be bad. We'd be freaking Britain when they were, or the European countries when they used to have world currency, and then they didn't. And then they had to join forces because individually their currencies are garbage. And just like now, BRICS, their currencies are garbage, but they're joining forces because they have half of the world's population under their control. A little more than a half of the world's population. So all they have to do is say, we don't want the dollar anymore. Everybody use our BRICS. And that's all they have to do. And they have China on their side, which is number 2 up. America would have the old allies, or do we, because we're in wars against our allies, but let's just say the old alliance, they're all in a downward trend. Whereas the BRICS nations, they have the water, they have the gold, they have the oil, they have currency, they have the people. So they could just say, we're cutting you guys out and we'll keep all of our assets. And those rare earth minerals, good luck. And good luck with water and good luck with whatever. Think about it. That's why this is all dangerous. U.S. is acting as if we're still going to be world currency for the next 100 years. That might not be a possibility. All right, so it takes 10 years of 100% margin just to equal market cap. They won't keep up with inflation. Read a random walk down Wall Street. Yes, Alpha Romeo 29. You're speaking to the choir here. You're speaking to the choir. We've went down these paths. They're overvalued. In fact, on Wednesday, I was telling people I used an example because just what you're talking about is market cap versus revenue. Start talking about market cap versus profit. It gets worse. Start talking about how much money the AI is spending just in their little uptrend, right? Think about this. I have NVIDIA. You know what? I won't show this one. I just think about NVIDIA. So you have NVIDIA, then you have NVIDIA co-branding deals when people's come and buy their Blackwell, right? And now they have a new one coming out. So people, if they want to keep up, they are going to buy into their system. The only reason their price value could go up is because people have to buy to keep up from their competition. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy when everybody's in the same little basket and they're helping each other, but they're all overvalued. So if they're costing them $1 trillion, I can't even believe if somebody says it's costing you $1 trillion and our revenues are something like 4 billion, $5 billion, and we're not even talking about profits. Nobody would say that's good. Nobody. But here we are in America because we have nothing else. We don't have any production. Our cars aren't the thing that you can sell anymore in the world. What we used to be able to do, we can't do. Steel, no, they're saying we'll take that Chinese or Japanese steel. Everything. We'll take your energy, though, because we know you guys are dumbasses, Americans. You're going to pay for other countries to siphon your energy product from you, and you're not going to upgrade your grid. We're all here for it. We don't care. So our electric bills are going to keep rising. You're going to say, oh, well, we'll put in data centers to help these so-called AI things, which employs hardly less than 50 people. Yeah, it's going to take 2,000, 3,000 to build. Yeah, because they're massive. But after they build them, they're automated. They're only going to be less than 2 or 3 dozen people that even work in these big ass places. But your resources are going to be depleted. Cost of electricity goes up. You're subsidizing it. The water you're gonna turn on your tap water and no water comes out. It's already happening around the United States with other data centers. So you're not going to be exclusively going to be the only one with the water taps cut off. There's going to be whole communities. And now your home is worthless. Where you live, your city, and all that's worthless. People won't be paying taxes if they have no water and electricity and they're getting brownouts and blackouts. All of this is coming because we have people right now in power that don't give a damn because they will be fine because they're rich guys, right? If you have millions of dollars, you can live anywhere in the world comfortably, and you can buy your own citizenship too. Just like in America, you can give America $500,000 under the Trump regime, and they'll give you a passport, even if you are from Somalia, even if you are from China. They don't give a damn. They'll do it. So I agree with you 100%. This is the whole reason why the guys are shorting these things. This is why there's more shorts than ever, is because what you're describing, Alpha Romeo 29. This is the cautionary tale that we need to worry about. That's why you have to be diversified. Care to share which stocks you're in? That's it. I'll give you 2 because I'm already up big on them. Lemonade. All right. FLNC at 350. I'm not familiar with FLNC. Let's see. FLNC. Have to go look. Not familiar. And see, it's an energy company. No shocker. Let me go look at something. I don't know what they do though, but if it's an energy company, they're probably going to be good. And in fact, when I was growing up, the parents said invest in oil and energy. Let's see, year over year, 42%. Year over year, 42.28% for Fluence. I don't know what they do though. Usually there's advanced microgrid solutions. I like that. That's what's needed. Shares up 13.2% last 9 hours. That's interesting. Oh, yeah, there's been an uptick. Something must have happened. Oh, no, hold on. Let's see. Wait, let me go one day. For Fluence, FLNC, 2.66%. So I don't know what the 13% was. But nonetheless, it says 9 hours ago. Shares up 13.2. Oh, maybe that was the month. Let's go look. 15% for the month. 5 days, 25%. So something happened the last 5 days because there's an uptick. Uptick yesterday, which is crazy. 22.85% yesterday. So if you'd have bought yesterday, yeah, it did kicked up. There must be something that happened. Must be something that happened. Energy storage products and services. I like it. I like it. Artificial intelligence enabled digital applications for renewables and storage. I like it. Only because energy storage is going to be a thing in America and around the world, quite frankly. So I like it. I like that talk. Thank you for sharing. That helps other people as well. 30 plus years for the depression, took 15 years to get and stay above from 2000. Uh I I kind of disagree. I know what you're saying because you're using the numbers, but keep in mind, remember what happened. We have a great recession. We're already in the midst of a war scenario with Japan, right? So it's 1930s to the late 1930s, 1930s, 1940s. What starts happening? We're going to enter war. We need more material. So all of a sudden, we create uh, the infrastructure of factories where men, women, children, that's right, children, all working in the ore companies, right? Anything underground, they would have the kids, they're only 6, 7, 8 years old, they're smaller. So they can fit in the carts and go in tunnels that are only like 2 feet high, 3 feet high, max, right? And they're sitting there getting sick because they've been in there since they're 8 years old, 9, 10, even once they get older, grown adults. That was legal. So the 30 years, I don't know why you would say 30 years because that is what fueled the middle class from the 1960s. So if you're counting like 1930 to 1960s, you would be correct because it started because we had to build factories. This is why this thing about, oh, you can just do factories next year. That's not how it works. Even back in the 1930s or late 30s, it took like 3 to 4, 5 years to be able to build the factories, have the Boeings, have I don't remember the other companies, Ford, and all the major companies of that's still around. They had the government contracts, they had the factories, they already had the car manufacturing facilities, they retrofitted for airplanes, all this type of stuff. Lockheed and all these guys, right? That helped the boom at the time. So if you count from 1930 to 1940, yes, Depression era relations. Then you go, we're getting into a war in first with Japan, then we're going overseas, and now we need planes and we need to supply the planes, trains, jeeps, and all this stuff to our allies as well because they don't have the factories because they live in war torn, cold, rainy, snowy area. So we are not in the war getting attacked, so we can actually ship. So everybody's on deck, and that's when our whole job and our whole middle class explodes because our taxes for the rich and corporations were over 70%. Think about that. So now all the social services, they're being bolstered. And that's when stuff started being in play. Oh, no, you can't have kids working out there, man. But that took like 20 years. Well, not 20, but it took like 15 to, yeah, it did take over 20 years. Because back in 1915, a kid could work. So it took a long time. So in the 60s, all of a sudden, civil rights, all of a sudden, workman's comp, all of a sudden, job market, all of a sudden, unionization backed so you can get paid wages. All of a sudden, things got better. One person can work in the household. All this comes to fruition because of the infrastructure that was built between 1940 and 1945, 46. All that triggered economic boom in America. So I agree with his 30 years because that's what it ultimately ends up being, because the 45 to 50, we were building and taking supplies over to the war-torn allies and other countries and helping them. So we're growing. We're China basically at that point. So now we're coming back, so to speak, from the Great Depression. Now in the 60s, so that's 30 years, 1930 to 1960. That's why the 60s up until 1970-ish, things was going great. But then we got in a war in Vietnam. We were in a war in Korea, ill-advised, all of it. And then we took ourselves off of the gold standard in 1971, 72, and the rest is history. No longer can one person work in a household and make ends meet. Not happening. But I agree with your assessment now that I've discussed it, because, yeah, it took a minute. But there's one thing that has to be said. The same reason MDA 0214 does trading, DIM Powell's trading, Brian P., myself, the reason why we're doing trading is the same thing that happened then. If the people who made money during the Great Depression, the rich guys were still making money because they actually still had stocks. Remember, stocks are thin air. If they could trade. The stock market existed. They could trade. So imagine now, if there was such a thing as the Great Depression, which could happen, the stock market will still be open, but now you actually have access to it. It's no gatekeepers, and you could actually be trading and making money from your skill set. This is why I've been saying I think this is going to be very imperative down the road. Let's just face facts. We don't know how many jobs AI is really going to take. What if it took 40 to 50% of the jobs by 2027? Because sooner or later, you know what's going to happen with AI? Because there's too many people working on it. The Soviets, the Russians, the North Koreans, the Israelis, the Saudi Arabias, the Asian, the lower Vietnam, Singapore, and all that, African nations. He who has a big jump in AI wins something that is going to be astronomical. Because if you have a leap so far ahead of everybody else and you're able to do things other people can't, then they will come and buy from you just to catch up, and you can sell things in a little lower tier, which is what NVIDIA is trying to do right now. Well, they are doing it right now. So if there is a huge leap, whoever wins that huge leap, this could be something major, because now you have something that's going to be able to control. Your AI is going to be able to predict what's going to happen before the others. It calculates fast. It does everything quick. But the fact of the matter is there's going to be somebody that's going to take this up a notch. Right now, like I said, NVIDIA is kind of ahead, but are they? I mean, AMD's, there's China by default. America should have never done it. is kind of like when they said we don't allow Google and we don't allow these other companies to buy from you guys for a few years when Trump was in before. What that did made them stronger, because then they said, well, I guess we better do our own stuff. We better find the chips. We better surround Taiwan. We better start making sure we have chips. What's our rare earth count look like? And let's start thinking about the future and what we're going to do to block these other guys from taking us out. And now they've caught up because now they have their own softwares that US doesn't have access to or does not even use. So that thing that we did gave them the power to pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. America should have said, hey, we'll leak you some stuff. We'll help you with this lower tier stuff, which is what they were doing. And in case a few times, like NVIDIA was sending their best chips, not in hard, massive quantities, but still thinking that would stop them from being able to beat us in a race for technological supremacy. It didn't. All that did was give them something, another way to look at things. And when you put people together, because remember, they're descendants of immigrants too, you don't think there's just Chinese people over in China, do you? There's people from Australia, there's people from India, there's people from America. I mean, let's get real. All right. So just saying. But I like it. You are right on your assessment. Alfa Romeo, that was. I thought MDA, but yeah, that's about right. Post retirement travel. We're Mr. Worldwide number two's here. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. What do you think about the conversation tonight? Let me know. And welcome to the SSN Nation again. And he brings his tagline, hello, all. Let's do this. That's what we do. We talk, we discuss, we have investors, and we make money in here, as Brian P says. That's what we do, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Uh, here goes something. This is a thing. Squatter uses extended Airbnb homeowners. Oh, this is funny. I don't really care what state this is, but let me go look. Roshane. I my God, I never gave her a lease. Oh my. I don't even know what state would say get the person out. Now there were laws in the state. So things are crashing. So warnings, you're I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I've never recovered. Place caught on fire. Then the fire goes to the next door neighbors. Yeah, man, it was bad. It was bad. It was started to be bad. It was basically like the pandemic, and it was crazy. And those people were official tenants, though, so the same rules applied because they were tenants. They signed a lease month to month, and the same rules apply after a person stays there 30 days. You got to evict them. Okay, I never gave her any tenancy. Yes, you did. Um, and I'm going to tell you guys something else, which I shouldn't tell anybody because family members. I had a family member doing crazy stuff. Um, a lot of people live with their parents, right? Let's say their parents are got elderly. Let's say they're 70 years old. They needed some help, so the people live there, right? Now the parent gets incapacitated medically. The parent gives another child either medical oversight, medical power of attorneys, whatever the case may be, plus power of attorney for the property. Did you know that even though you live there and your parents said, yes, you can stay here, you are a tenant? Just so you understand, you're a tenant under laws. Just because you lived with your parents, let's say you're under 18, okay, it's a child relationship, so you have a right to be in the home. But once you turn 18, your parent can't evict you. That's right. Okay, so just you guys got to understand. So when people started this 30-day nonsense, I told you back then, not a good idea. Douglas tried everything. He gave her a 30-day notice to I'm sorry, this is bad. Okay, 30-day notice to vacate should have been a 3-day notice. After the 3-day notice, it should have been the next one. Should have been a 10-day in most cases. And then during that time, you should have been like, if you don't pay by that day, eviction notice. Your property manager or your attorney should have had eviction notice already ramped for 10-day on the 14th, 15th of the month. And so that way you can start your court proceedings, because depending on what county you're in, court proceedings could be 2 months from now. So the person could be living in your house for 2 months or 3 months, which back in the day, when I did rentals, it was 90 days. Can you imagine 90 days? Unbelievable. All right. So called the police, went to court, and even offered Romero 2,500 to sign the paper, admitting she's not a tenant and get out. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. She has tenant rules. Romero signed the document but didn't budge. That's right. Not going to happen. Because even signing that, she took the 2,500. Guess what? She doesn't have to go anywhere. You don't have your eviction court date going, which could have been enforced. So avoiding the eviction was a mistake. But anyhow, November 15th. What? November 15th? Jeez. And she told me this no longer works for me, said Douglas. Do what you have to do. I'm not leaving. I went to the police with my order and they say there's nothing they can do. That's right. It's a civil matter. So I need to go to court, which I've done. And I do not have a court date until December 11th. You see how this works? March 29th, because she dilly-dallied, given a 30-day notice. That's May. Then she dilly-dallies, talking about $2,500 signed paper. All if she would have been watching the SSN Nation, she would have known. We've talked about this before. She would have known the first 30 days. She would have just said, okay, here's your 3-day notice or quit. Then she would have went to her lawyer. Her lawyer would have said, okay, here's the 10-day after that. Well, depends on what's it's a little different, but unless she would have been in court within 30 to 45, maybe, yeah, 30 to 45 days nowadays. And she would have been having the person been able to move out, especially after she only stayed 30 days. So whatever the state says, whether 30 days means you have to give them a 1 day, but she's already overstayed. The court could have said 48 hours. We'll have the sheriffs there, and they'll be taking your stuff out, and they're going to be locking it up, and you're leaving or be arrested. Simple. But she wasn't watching the SSN Nation, so she let this go for freaking 7 months, 8 months. I mean, what the heck? That's crazy. November 5th. Yeah, okay. Douglas put a sign on top of the home so police and neighbors would know Romero was not authorized to be there. Okay. Romero and the people inside threw a sheet out the window to cover it. 7 News. Okay. All these shenanigans is unnecessary. She can't kick her out. She has to go through eviction. 7 News was there when police helped Rochelle cut it down while Romero was inside. It was just shocking to me that you would abuse a system like that. So you allowing her to do it by not acting promptly. While all this is going on, Romero's social media shows her living her best life on trips and promoting her nonprofit, and Rochelle is left paying thousands of attorney fees. Exactly. The mortgage. Exactly. Utilities for a home she can't even enter. Oh, that's another thing. If she doesn't pay the water bill, the electric bill, well, no, the water bill, water, sewer, and garbage bill, they're going to be a lien on the house because you own the house. Just saying. And if you do something stupid, I'm just going to use the word stupid. I'm sorry. If you have a tenant and you go, I'm going to pay for utilities, water, sewer, and garbage, you've lost your freaking mind. Don't even think about doing that because that tenant doesn't pay. You're going to be on the hook, and you may not even know that they didn't pay if you made the stupid arrangement to say, oh, yeah, you just pay it and everything will be fine. And then they don't pay it. And you get a notice 2 months later talking about, we're going to put a lien on their property and all that. So think about that, ladies and gentlemen. This is a lesson for everybody. In fact, let me put this link in here. This is what you do not do. If somebody doesn't do anything, you get on that eviction thing like yesterday. Like yesterday. All right? This is no fun and games here. Don't play around. That's just silly. Okay? That's silly. All right. Post-retirement travel during recession years, that's when you buy it like it's candy. Have no fear. You know it will come back double following year. That's how you become wealthy. That is true. Post-retirement travel. You stick with the big boys. You take the big boys 30, 40% drop and keep buying up some because you know if you have the time, right? If you're still got 20 years or 10 years, you know it's going to come back. And especially in this era, as long as the United States have world currency, the stock market's always going to come back because they'll print money to make sure that the stock market goes up. Because we still need the illusion that everything's fine. And that's the only way that you can tell everything's fine and have a foreign business or foreign countries invest in the USA via the bond market. And that's what allows us to print money, except we got to owe 4%, 4.1% annually on trillions of dollars. And now we're up to 38. So refinancing it just gets us, I mean, basically 4%. So when we owe $1 trillion in interest only, is because of bonds and printing up money. And now it's going to be over $1 trillion, I'm sure. It's bad. This is not good, ladies and gentlemen. Not good. All right. Hey, Eric, did you see the news of Netflix to buy Warner Brothers film and streaming assets in $72 billion deal? Yes, I did. That's been out for a while. Skydance, Paramount, Warner Brothers, all this stuff. That's a bad idea. That means there's only going to be less than 5, I think, streaming big time companies. That's not good. This is why America's declining. There used to be, this would not be allowed in the past. This would not be allowed because you need competition. You don't need 5 companies that can collude, 4 companies that can collude. You don't need that. You actually need competition. That gives the best competition means efficiency changes, you upgrade, you grow faster, you want to be number one in your field, you employ the best, so you pay people better. So this is bad. It should not happen. It should not happen. MDA, well done. I typically buy profitable companies or ones really struggling, like Intel, Dow. There you go. That's why I was saying get Intel. I got Intel. Dow, CNC, United Healthcare. I like that too, and CNC. But mine, the debt sold mostly Intel and some UNH with gains. Yes, Intel, since it has doubled, it's probably a good time to hit the inject button. UNH also increased, so yeah, I hit that inject button along last, was it a month ago? Uh, Intel, it's doubled, so what more can you ask for? Really, why be greedy? Really, even though I think it's still going to rise even higher because they're doing some deals that they should have been making 5 years ago. Okay, Alfa Romeo, I'm not too well diversified. My bad. I don't know if one should sideline some cash. Yes, you always have a duffel bag of cash, is the rule, man. Duffel bag of cash, not in the bank, in your possession. Banks steal money. All right. Buy more chemical bank stocks or get some high yield Brazilian bond. I don't know about touching South American products because it looks like America wants to go down there and cause mayhem in South America with Venezuela. So that would be very, very bad. The fact you're on in your 20s, time is your best friend and second best friend, Mr. Compounding. If you play your cards right, you can be a millionaire by 50 or 60 by 50. Actually, by 40. Because the inflationary number from wherever he started, whether if he started a year or two ago, the inflation that's going to happen over the next 2 years is going to be some of the most exciting time if you're in the stock or in asset business. It's going to be exciting, in my opinion. They're doing everything they can to make sure it happens. So I think it's going to be faster than 50 years. I don't think he's going to have to wait till he's 50. I mean, 30 years from now, let's say 25. I think things are going to happen in 10 years. This don't forget what happened with the pandemic. Remember what happened with the pandemic when there was some major stocks that were 40, 50% reduced? And all it took was 7, 8 months later in 2022 where things were double or triple. It didn't even take a year, let alone if you would have still been holding NVIDIA at $40 up until it ran up to 1,000 per share. Remember, we were all here talking about buy. $40 a share was NVIDIA, somewhere around there. Um, there was a Myriad too. Myriad. We were Van. Look, let me go look at something. Vanguards. Even if you would have just went with the ETFs, let me look at this. This is insane. Even if you'd have went with the VOOs, the VTIs, the VGTs, and all this, um, I'm trying to look and see. Oh, they don't even have a stock price for me. VOO is $630 right now. That's insane. I mean, it's not. That's about right as it should be. I'm just saying because it's holding the top. They're holding the Mag 7. They're holding a bunch of stuff. Um, Let me go see what 2022 was. Was it 300? Something like, no, it wasn't even that. I don't think. Let's go. Where are they at? Where's the historical prices? Oh, they have it for me. I googled. All right, why don't you just tell me? I don't want to look it up. I was like, oh my god, it won't tell me. I think it was two something. Yeah, it won't tell me what the 19. And then some. It's at 6:30 right now, apparently. So, I mean, you can't be mad, right? And that was only 3 years. Oh, wait, that's 2019. Hold on a second. Wait. That's 2019. Actually, it was lower. in it was lower after the pandemic. So yeah, it was probably in the two still though. But they won't give me the number. Let me see. I didn't put in what price. Let's see in 2022 what the price was. Watch it be like 185 or something. Says 280 to 3. Okay, so it's either way, it has doubled and then some. Or was it 2021 I'm thinking about? You know what? Let me see. 2021 was the pandemic? Oh yeah, I'm off a year. It was 2021. Okay, let's see. It dropped in March or April when the announcement of annual return 28% for the year. Yeah, I can't get it exactly. I don't have the charts. Maybe somebody will show me. It looks like I'm all over the map. But anyhow, it's double for sure in 3 years. So, needless to say, I would think it's going to be 1200 in like 4 years from now because there will be a recession, I'm thinking, and then we'll come out of it, and you know how that works. Once you wipe out everybody, then the shorters, they get wiped out and it starts rising, and then it just keeps going because there's nobody stopping it. Nobody's pulling it back. Kind of like trading. Kind of cool. Now that I know what I'm looking at, I know what I'm dealing with. EV Place, another investors in the house, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night Live Stream. Another investor, he's here. Welcome again. Good evening. Happy Friday brings his tagline. Tamara Larry's in the house. Welcome once again to the SSN Nation. And by the way, get your debt in order, ladies and gentlemen. So, you know what this means. First things first, you need a little help? Findhelp.org. Put in your zip code. Nonprofits, state and local governments help these nonprofits to help you. So go check that out. That's the first thing. Second thing, hold on. I'll put this in the chat room for everybody on replay. Make sure you have the live chat on. There's definehelp.org. Tracy, debt consolidation, debt resolution. It takes 1 to 1.5, 2 years, but we need you to have a 785 credit score. That's what you got to remember. 775, sorry. Right now, they're doing it like if you have a 740, 750, they're giving you 0% at 24 months. It's out there now. I could not find the 0% at 36 months. It might have been a one-off for Black Friday. I wish I could have remembered the name. I thought I made a copy because I wanted to show it on screen when I made a video, but I can't find it. So I'm like, okay, I can't say that no more. But we're going to be there. 0% for 36 months is coming, ladies and gentlemen. It's coming. So you got to make sure you're on top of it. All right? Just remember, debt resolution, Tracy, TRACY.sharpe with an E at the end, at moneyladder.com. All right? Down below in the description box, we'll have it there too. So don't worry about it. All right. Hold on. I'm not going to be on here too much longer. I'm going to have to rattle off whatever we're talking about on the screen in the chat room. All right. Here we go. Oil is a good diversifier. I'm up some on, in my humble opinion, oil. It's going to be very interesting. Oil is very interesting. I would oil generally goes up because America was oil related and we use a lot of oil, right? United States oil companies, I don't know, they might have a problem. The price per barrel is pretty low. They needed a certain number. But as far as the rest of the world, the drillers, the guys doing it, yeah, I don't. Oil has always been a good holdings, and they give a little dividends. Whether they're 3, 4, 5% is still fine. At least you get a stock appreciation price plus some other things. Peak of 1929 was 31. It took until 1954 to recover. U.S. economy was a beast in World War II, exactly. But S&P dropped to $4 in 1932, so 87% decline. That wiped out everybody. So the only people that could buy it was the wealthy, right? This is how it works. Think of it like, if you've never done stock trading, which now I'm learning on, think of it like how when I'll just use a fictitious number, right? So let's just say the stock price goes from $100 and it's a buy. So people are buying, it goes to 110, 115, 120, 130. All of a sudden people are like, wait a minute, man, that's like overvalued. And plus the fact I like making 30% on my money. So why don't I just take profits? So what happens? They start selling. And then the guys in the corporation who own millions of shares of fake money, they go, man, why don't I just sell like 200,000 shares? So now in this example, let's just say it goes down to $4, right? Who's going to be buying the stock at $4? The rich guys. They're going to sit there and go, oh man, are you kidding me right now? Let's just go buy this thing for $4. 25 to 1. And they're already rich. 25 to 1. So all that profit they made, all they had to use was less than 25% of their money, buy back another millions of shares, and sit back and wait for 20 years or 10 years. I mean, that's what basically we're talking about right now. This is similar to what's happening whenever there's a recession. The great recession that happened is a similar thing, because the upside is better than buying at the higher price and letting it drop. Like you said, 87% decline, 96% declines, things like this. Here's the thing that people don't realize. If your stock's, let's say $115, it drops to $4. That's 87%, right? Drops. In order for a person to get that back, most people would say, well, I'm just going to sit there. I'm not going to buy the stock. I'll just wait for it to rise. But the real deal should have been, they should have been buying more price. They should have been buying more of the stock at the $4 cost to bring their dollar cost average down. So let's just say they they can't afford it, but let's just say they bought some shares at $4. If the share goes up to $8, they've made 100% on this new money back. So if your dollar cost average can be shrunk down, now you don't have to gain back the full $113, $110. All you have to do is just gain back a share price of 50 or 60 if you're able to buy enough shares and bring it down significantly. That's why you have to stay in the market and keep investing. No matter what you're investing in, when it comes to trading, when it comes to markets, if prices go down, like who's buying Bitcoin? You should be buying Bitcoin right now, right? When it was under 90, that was a good time to buy, down 30, 40% from 126, and it goes down to 86, 87. Shouldn't you be buying to bring your dollar cost average down if you bought at 120 or 115? Of course. Because now all it takes is just a little bit. If it goes back up to 120, now you make profit. You're in the profits. That's the difference. So, uh, thank you again, Alpha Romeo 29. Greatly appreciated. All right. I'm not going to be on here much longer, ladies and gentlemen. Palantir just made deal with NVIDIA over AI. That's weird. I don't even want to see Palantir. That's good. I mean, Palantir is a favored company. So since they're a favored company, they get help from the government and all this. So working with the other company that gets help from the government is like they're creating their own communist dynasty, since the government's wanted a piece of these companies and they're willing to pay them in lieu of paying tariffs. I'm just like, what are you doing? But nonetheless, the ruining of capitalism is happening as we speak. And all these companies are going to be winners as long as AI in America is the leader. So That is one of the things right there. Learning how to read financials and understanding business is 10x better than trading. MDA 0214, that's all part of trading and investing. Anything to do with financial system, you should know how to read financials and understand business. And I was mentioning this earlier. The Wall Street Journal used to be a paper that people in finance would literally need when it first came out. The first edition would come out. All the guys, because that's where all information was. In fact, do you know in the Wall Street Journal, what we call startups today, where people find out about startups on the internet, it was in the Wall Street Journal. If somebody was starting a business, they would be looking for people to fund their business or sell shares. It was wild. Everything you see on the internet was basically in the Wall Street Journal. So that's why people would like, oh man, I need that first edition, the early morning one, because the early bird catches the worm. Because there's so many people. And that's why the New York centers was the biggest one, the financial district. And that was like a whole, its own little mecca. And that's where you needed to be, pretty much. So that's what is missed greatly, because that gave everybody a similar level type playing field. Almost. I mean, there's still insider trading and all that. But the fact of the matter is, if you snooze, you lose. And you knew when the paper came out and when it was being delivered at your location or to that newsstand, and you knew 3:30, 4 a.m., 4:30, 5 a.m., you're there. Here's that dime. Yeah, dime. 15 cents, whatever it was. And you're looking for stuff. And it would tell you stuff that we see now at CNBC companies. This company's forecast is this. And then people would make their stock price purchases based on that. I mean, it was wild. I love it. But I think you should know what. This is one of the things that drives me crazy about the AI. Nobody's They're just like giving these guys a complete pass. They're just common stuff. They'd be like, okay, how much have you spent? Oh, I see in your filings you spent this much money. Then I see you did a depreciation. Then I see, wait, how much is your profits? Oh, we didn't make any profits this year. We did all that. I'm like, yeah, but you spent billions of dollars. I mean, what's happening? Oh yeah, I think you should have 100 times. I mean, it may not be that crazy, but all I'm saying, that's what it's like. It's like, yeah, no problem with 50x of nothing. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all. And like Alpha Romeo 29 said, when you start doing valuations of 10 years revenue numbers, that's crazy stuff. That's crazy work right there. And that may be one of the reasons why Nvidia's stock really is, it's at 182 right now, I believe. People were predicting 200, which it did hit. Plus, beyond that, there was some saying like a month or two back that it would be $300 a share. The 200 was not inconceivable. When they said 300, I was like, hold on, that's a bit much compared to what revenues they have. That's crazy. I mean, giving them a 4.5 trillion valuation right now is pretty wild. Pretty wild. And we don't even have profit numbers. We have revenue numbers, and that's pretty wild. 10x revenue numbers is wild. If I was buying the same stocks as everyone else, I didn't know how to look at financials, I would not be up so much this year. And there's no taxes because I'm holding. Exactly. Oh yeah, that's the main thing. That is the thing. You just hold, ladies and gentlemen, for 15% capital gains later. Or there's other options, which we can't get into because I'm not a financial advisor. No, I'm just messing. I'm not a financial advisor. Okay, here we go. Will T5, welcome to the SSN Nation Financial Friday Night live stream. Hopefully you enjoyed this. It looks like another name I'm not familiar with, so thank you so much for being here. And oh, by the way, we do have memberships back on the channel once again since we are monetized. Thank you so much, Post Retirement Travel and EV Plays, for being members of the channel. I greatly appreciate that. Paramount, Larry Ellis went straight to the White House to try to block the front runner, exactly, Netflix, from getting the deal. DJT is a buddy of Ellis. Yes, communist system is in effect. This is what I'm saying. The government is dictating what can be done with mergers, acquisitions, and deals. That is a communist system, and I do not agree. Unfortunately, I'm a capitalist, but America has never been a capitalist system. People, that's been a fallacy. There has been privileged people being able to circumvent the system and take out the competition. That's right. Illegally taking out the competition. And how do you illegally take out the competition? The man right here, Will T5, just said it. Because he's friends with the White House, he gets to roll up like, oh man, come on. I'm being cut off. I'm da 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 da. You gotta help me, man. Then the White House gets on the phone with the senators. Oh, you got to help him, man. It's our buddy over here. He gave to your guys' donations and your platforms. He gave you money. Come on, now your campaigns. Let's go. You got to write some laws to block it. You got to figure out how you're going to block this or put monkey up the works so we can actually figure out how we can get Ellison to make a higher bid or make a better offer, something. Make some one side of the fence say, well, hold on, maybe we'll think about it, whatever. That is what they're doing. Just what he's saying. This is no shocker. Again, when I told people this in the 80s, they all said, nah, government ain't like that, man. It ain't like this. I said, oh my God, man, you guys are, you know where you live. It's exactly like this. This is no shock whatsoever. This would not even be far-fetched. And I actually believe it without even confirming. Because this is what they do. The rich dudes, the guys that have privilege are the first guys. So they want you arrested to block you. They'll do it. They want to try and take over your business or take your intellectual property or trademarks. They'll file some fraudulent paperwork, see us in court. They do all kind of shit. I won't even get into it today because I started going off the other day. But Will T5, you starting to get me a little heated when you start talking about this. Yeah, I was one of those guys, the Time Warner deal. Like I said, I'm one of them guys. I'm one of these guys, man. Like I said, in my 20s, when I found it, blew my mind when I found out that car companies, insurance companies in the state of California paid them millions of dollars so they would write new laws to block competition, which was me. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Is this for real? So this is what we're out here doing. I didn't realize how our government moved. I didn't realize what the rich guys and corporations, how they were stifling and stopping people when they're getting their asses kicked. But that's what they do. MDA 0214 depends on what type of trading. Financials are worthless in day trading. You ain't lying. Day trading is all about news and technicals. You ain't lying. Yeah, there's variations, but if you're going to be in the financial news business, you should learn how to read reports and read financial information. You should. That would just be a normal thing because that enhances your ability to make financial decisions with whatever you're doing. Expand your horizons. You know, exactly right. Thank you, Wilty5. That's how it works. Now, I put tracy.sharpe with an E at the end at moneyladder.com if you need debt consolidation or resolution. She loves what she does. She's part of the SSN Nation, and actually, she's family. So just keep that in mind. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I love our conversation tonight, but I'm about to hit the ejection button. We've been on here an hour and 50 minutes. And normally I would stay longer, but I did that 4 hours the other night, which was the first time in like months that I lasted that long. But I started going off because of what Wilty brought to the forefront once again. I'm like, hold on, man. I just have flashbacks. I just find it still to this day, it's appalling what our government does to block their friends from getting their asses beat. You see, this is what drives me crazy, and then turns around and goes, oh, I worked so hard. Oh, I did. It wasn't nobody else that helped. I'm like, what are you talking about right now? You're getting your asses kicked. And now all of a sudden, you're acting like you know everything and did everything. Didn't get bailed out. I'm like, this is crazy to me. But the rich guys don't know no better. They think they're privileged. They're like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be. This is why I'm this guy. I'm like, uh, yeah, okay, great, great. If you didn't get the help, you would have been worse off. Now that you got the help, you talk all this garbage. And nobody else can get that help. I can't get it. I'm not with you rich dudes, rich enough to bribe people. Drives me crazy. So all this help that all these companies are getting to be in the on the stock exchange by the American companies or American government is what a communist country does. Basically, that's what they do. They prop up their nationalized corporations, corporations that they have interest in. They prop them up to fight against the world and then starve their citizens. just saying. I mean, you know, uh, just saying. You starve your citizens, make up some new infrastructure, make sure that a certain segment of your population is still poor and a smaller amount of people are becoming wealthy. But they're your buddies, they're your friends, and of course, offshoots. There's always workers and other people that aren't in the system that gets to benefit from it. But the bottom 50%, 60% are going to not be well off. That's how you do it. A capitalist system, like we had from what we were talking about before, the 40s, 50s, 60s, and to the mid 70s, that's when competition was on. And then in the 80s, competition was on, but it diverted into something else because then they had to pick who's going to survive when the 80s and 90s came. Are we going to bail out Apple? No. Microsoft did to keep competition. It's crazy if you know history and what actually happened years ago. There's companies that would not be around right now in the tech industry that if their competitor didn't bail them out to make sure they stayed in the space, they would have been gone and America would have been worse off. That was capitalism. Government didn't roll in and be like, hold on, man, we got to save you. Hold on. We got to get a piece of the action because that would be communist. So that would have been frowned upon greatly. You would have been like impeached or something if you did some crazy nonsense like that. Now, communism is okay, apparently. It's like Wall Street too. When the guy's doing his speech, which, by the way, I should have that on standby. He's giving that speech about, I guess it's legal to do illegal activity on Wall Street now, something to that effect. So this is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. Rogue Nation all the way around. You got to take advantage. And there's one place that you can always take advantage, stock market. And now they want to go with BTC or crypto. You should be in that arena as well. And again, protect yourself. You do realize some of you out here have dual citizenship and we got a problem. There we go. Do you remember Matthew Lesko? Yes, we do. He was on 11 months ago, Wilty5, on a live stream from the 80s and 90s, peddling where to get free money and grants, etc. I didn't know he was still alive, but I saw he has a YouTube channel now. I was surprised. That's right. He was on 11 months ago here. And he gave this information, findhelp.org. That's why now I start off the live streams because I know a lot of people out here hurting. That's the one first thing he said. Just go to findhelp.org. And then he said, well, if you want to join the rest of us where other people, thousands of people are at Let's Go Help, Lesko help.com. And do not buy the $20 per month because he has the annual one, like $55, $60 annually. And there's all kind of people. If you say, I live in this state, is there a grant for this? People will come back within the hour and say, in your state, you can get this grant, this, that, and the other. I mean, it's an awesome thing. I only showed the back office one time because, of course, I'm in there. But the fact of the matter is, Matthew Lesko is the man, and he's been doing it for 50 years. That's right. 50 years he's been trying to help Americans. So go to findhelp.org if you need help, transportation, caregiving, I don't really care what it is, even your rent payments, your mortgage payment, your gas, electric, food, need some help that way. Food, you need job training. Yeah, depending on your zip code, there could be thousands of listings. Major cities, there's usually thousands of listings. That can help you out there now, especially since 8 out of 10 of you are living paycheck to paycheck. So just keep that in mind. Thank you so much for bringing him up. He is legit. Will T5, he is legit. He's still helping people. I just with that, in case you didn't get it, it was letsgohelp.com. LESKO help.com. Let me just make sure that's still it. Because I have two different. Yeah, because it changes into a different. Yep, this is it. Use grants to pay bills, get out of debt, go back to school, start a business, buy a home, get a higher paying job, etc. Join 15,000 members. That's right. Just keep in mind, he has help with that, but he said findhelp.org, go there. That's the first start that can help out a lot of people. If you become a member, new members, he always picks a few people that get like a $500 or $1,000 grant directly from Let's Go Help. There's no real, other incentives, but there it is. And they have live streams and all kind of stuff. I don't really like going into the back office because I showed it one time, maybe part of it, because there's people in there talking about what they do, their business, and I didn't want to scroll down and run into maybe something that's private and not supposed to be known worldwide yet. But that's him. Yeah, he's legit. Like I said, he was on. We're on late night. You'll see how we do it. I'm just so happy that late night. It's about right now we were talking, and he goes, "Yeah, if somebody needs help in the middle of the night with mental health or something like that." And I said, "Okay, I'm going to call your bluff." I said, "All right, we're going to call right now." So I called. The people actually answered the phone. This is like in the middle of the night. So whether it was Monday, Wednesday, or Friday live stream, it had to be at least 10:30, 11 at night. Crazy. People, they picked up the phone. They said, "How can we help you?" No charge whatsoever. And it had to do with mental health. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, you got to be kidding me. Somebody actually answered the phone right now from findhelp.org. I just picked the first thing that came up for caregiving or mental health or something like that. And he goes, "Go ahead, give it a call." I said, "Hold up, man. I'm calling your bluff right now. Let's go check." And people answered. I couldn't believe it, which was pretty awesome. So yeah, he's been doing it all them years, man. These are dark times. Definitely feels like World War III could happen. Yeah, Alpha Romeo 29. I don't really think World War III though. That's where, I mean, Russia is really, they're the boogeyman that America has built. They're not really who America has made them to be. America used them just like they use immigrants and black people. They have to have boogeymen, and so you got to scare people so that allows you to do something. That's all this is. Russia's not crap. Speaking of financials, right? When if you're if you are going to war with somebody, you assess their capabilities, right? And since you have satellites and other information from spies and people that have crossed the line that used to be Russians and now live in America, that used to work for the government, gives you this information. And you're sitting there looking at it and you go, okay, so they actually have X amount of tanks, X amount of Air Force, X amount of course, the main one, nuclear. And first of all, if anybody uses nuclear, everybody retaliates. Okay, that means everybody's gone. So that's not really an option. But when you look at their arsenal, you're sitting there like, why is America always bolstering up Russia like they're a big to do? Especially when they have nukes, Pakistan has nukes, China has nukes, Israel has nukes, all EU, major France, Spain, uh, England, nukes. I mean, this is not like this is not like they're the only ones and America's the only one. This is not. This is not that. So it's no less, they're the boogeyman that was never needed because they were never capable of doing jack crap. But America needs a boogeyman in order to tell the citizens we need trillions of dollars worth of taxpayers' money to spend on waste with the biggest uh, military industrial complex on the planet. The we cost American taxpayers the same as the next 10 countries combined. Number Americans is one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight, nine, 10, 11. The next 11 countries don't even equal the amount of money the Americans spend on their military industrial complex for their countries. And instead, they're putting it into their infrastructure and into their people. Think about it. All right? Let's go. Let's go. These are dark times. You got that right, man. It's been dark times. It's been a slow roll to bad news. That's why you have to have something outside the United States. Wilty5, I just stumbled upon your channel. Great content and info. Thank you so much, Wilty5. I greatly appreciate that, man. I'm glad you stumbled because that's what it has to be. Trust me. I'm still on the government's watch list. So therefore, China is the one to watch, though. Wilty5, it's a wrap. China has already done the check, mate. Because again, when you start thinking you're the best and the baddest, you don't watch your flank. Meanwhile, you always thought everybody, they portrayed China as some third world country. They'll never be nothing, yada, yada, right? Now, and they treated them as such up until even Trump's first presidency, because that's when he said, we're taking Google away. We don't want them to use our chips, this, that, and the other. Again, I think that's a bad decision. Because when they're using our chips, you want to spy on them? Fine. Then you can put stuff in the chips. You can put stuff in the software. You can find out what they're doing. As soon as you cut them off, they're doing their own thing. Now you have to spend resources on spying on them for what they're producing. And now they're producing their stuff, has built factories and this, that, and the other. They don't need Google or any chips or nothing. So now the technology that they're bringing, we don't know how fast it advances. They could just pop up, which is what I think has happened. And we do nothing because we don't have manufacturing facilities in America no more. They do. Same kind of thing. And in fact, I'm tapping them. They're going to have the next world currency, just a matter of when, not if, when. They're number 2 country by GDP. And in fact, they might even pass us this year. So this is just an evolution that's occurred. And we treat them like a third world country. And these guys got high speed rail. They got the most solar and wind production for their energy. They got transportation down. They got a whole bunch of things that America's just like sitting here getting beat up. It's insane. And then we're protecting, like the thing that cracks me up, we protected Tesla against foreign competition for 10, 12, 13 years, 14, 15 years, blocking Chinese EVs from coming to America. Meanwhile, these guys, just like the Huawei phone gets blocked, they go, well, America, you only have 300 million people. The whole world at one time was 7 billion. Now it's 8 billion. Now it's going to be 9 billion in a year or two. There's a whole bunch of customers other than 350 million people. What do you, okay, so you want to play that game? They said, fine, we don't even have to sell to you. We don't even have to buy from you. So now here we are. And that's a problem. And considering they have 1 billion people that could use everything we would create to send to them, having a tariff war against them is crazy. So they just went elsewhere. Now our factories, our farmers We have to bail them out or they go bye-bye. Bail out now, they're still going to go bye-bye. The business is not coming back. So that's almost like, well, pay $100 million for no business to come back. How many years are you going to do that now? Because next year you're going to be in the same boat. And the year after that, you're in the same boat because they went to new markets that charged them less because the new market was happy to take their business for less with no headaches. Standard operating procedures in capitalism. If I call up a business and they tell me, Eric, I need 5,000 units to be ordered before we'll take your order. And I call up their competition and the competition says, oh, all you need to do is order 24, 2 dozen. What's the price difference? Oh, 30 cents each. Yeah, I think I'm going to order less than 5,000 units because I'm not selling 5,000 units. And I think the guy that I said his minimum order is 2 dozen, I need 8 dozen. So I pay 30 cents more for these. So what? This is what we're dealing with out here in America. People are doing crazy stuff like this because they were used to having countries order from them and they were taking advantage till the other countries said, you know what? I'm tired of your games. Good luck with your BS. And that's why everybody started buying from China because China said, oh, no, we don't have these. Oh, you want one? Fine. You want 50? Fine. You want 10,000? Fine. This is what we're dealing with out here. When you're not in capitalism, you don't know. See, again, I've been very fortunate in my life because I'm old school. I called China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Japan. I negotiated on a phone calls saying, this is the product I need. And what's the price on 2 dozen, 1 dozen, $100, $300? They, because of American exceptionalism, they always had people that spoke English. Somebody might say hello in some foreign language, but as soon as I say English or English, they say, hold on. I might have to wait a few minutes, 2, 3, 4 minutes. Somebody gets on. Hey, how can I help you? In their foreign language. And then I tell them what I need to order. How much is it? We negotiate per dozen. Dozens started, how many dozens? Onesie, twosie, sure, they would do that. But you have to be like, okay, I need 5 dozen, 6 dozen, 10 dozen, whatever. They respond. Oh, and by the way, it used to be airfare. Can you imagine 30 years ago? Can you imagine 40 years ago? I could call up Taiwan, Hong Kong, Japan, South Korea, and if I said I need 2 dozen, they would say, let's say I'll use 5 dozen. 5 dozen of whatever item. This is why I was spoiled. Can you believe back then they would say, do you want this by boat or by air? If it's by boat, it's like an additional, I don't remember, man, like $10. But you're not going to get it for 2.5 to 3 months. Where you can ship it by air and it's only going to cost you an extra $15. I was like, no FedEx, no UPS, no DHL, but there was some service, which I can't remember what it is now. It might have been DHL, but it wasn't overnight. It was shipped a certain way by air. It would be here in a week or less. Just those countries I mentioned, all of them. America had a deal where I could ship it. Customs, it automatically went through customs. Not everything. But even then, all I had to do was have a custom agent get it for me and then forward it to me. And how much was that? Damn near zero as well. Not even worth mentioning. I can't even remember. That's how sorry the price was. So it comes through customs, gets checked, or the mailing guys, it comes straight through. Because we had a tariff agreements for the trade. So it made things easy. And then now you can understand why I get upset when I hear tariffs and talking about blocking competition and costing more money. All of that affects the companies inside of America. People don't understand. So now, instead of us being able to get cheap products from several countries, now it's certain countries, because that opens up the American businesses. If you can get products from anywhere combined, and I had choices. I mean, we're talking about even Vietnam, um, uh, uh, Thailand, Mexico. We didn't have the NAFTA agreement at that time, but we still had an agreement, so we can still get stuff from Mexico. I mean, it was crazy. Getting stuff outside of the EU was stupid because the EU was acting like America. They were all like, whatever I could get over in the Asian markets or Mexico, South America, EU was always like 50 cents per item more on average, right? It would be like, oh, yeah, we're charging an extra $12 per dozen. I'm like, why? I don't have to order from you. That's crazy. That's crazy. Why am I going to pay an extra $50 for 5 dozen? Why? When all I got to do is pay $10 to $12 and I'll be here within 4 or 5 days. And I can pick up the phone and get directly to the CEO of the company. I mean, like, yeah. So, like I told you guys before, since it's Friday night, my roommates would always trip when I was in college because one night I told this before. I come back to the room, and the guys go, "Somebody called you." And now remember, I think it was from Hong Kong. No, it was from the camera guys from Japan. What was it? Yamamoto photo, whatever. Anyhow, Yashika. That was it. I think the camera still exists. But anyhow, the CEO calls. But now I go to hoops practice. I come back and the guy goes, when you left today, something about because I don't go to class till like 9 or 10 or something. But anyhow, he says, "Yeah, man, some dude called. He said he's the CEO of some corporation over in China or Hong Kong or Japan. I can't remember exactly. If it's Japan, it was Yashika, but I think that's who it was." And he goes, they started laughing, man. We hung up the phone because we thought it was a prank call. I said, dudes, no, it's actually the CEO of the company. He's supposed to, we're working on a deal for him to ship me some products. They're like, what? Because I never told my roommates what I did. They just thought I played hoops. They thought I played hoops. They were just like, what the hell's going on? This dude don't even live in the dorms. He hangs out here with us over here in the condos. Uh, we don't even see him half the time. I was like, yeah, because I'm down in San Francisco shopping on my days off. I was sick. I was sick at the time. I'll just tell you, I was sick. I only had class on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So when a Thursday's over, I don't see school till Tuesday. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, I could either be studying or having fun. And I'm having fun because San Francisco's 35, 45 minutes away. And I know the garment district. I was fortunate enough I took a bus down because my first year when I went to Sonoma State, I had no car. So my car was in another state, so I didn't even bother to get it. So I was just like, whatever. I'm never going to hang out. I'm in Northern Cali. I can get around. So I took the bus. It takes me down to San Francisco. Bus station used to be right by Market Street. And so for 15, $10 or something, I'm in the city. So I'm in the city. I'm Mr. GQ. Everything on the cover of GQ magazine, that's what I have. So again, my lucky day happens. I'm going down. I'm going looking for some clothes. And I get off the bus, and because there's alleys on the way to Market Street from the bus station, one day I just got lucky. I see racks and racks of clothes, like it's the garment district. And I was like, what's happening here? I said, this is interesting. So I go down because I see some stuff. It looks like some G wear, GQ gear. And I'm sitting there like, let me go see what's going on. So I go down the alley and I stop the guys unloading garments off of a truck. And they start saying, yeah, we're taking this to these stores. And these stores are where I shop at. They're high end stores. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? I didn't know nothing about the clothing business at the time. And so I start talking to them and they just start telling me, oh, yeah, man, we have this stuff made over in China or, oh, well, at the time, I don't know where they said, but it was outside of the country. And then they ship them in. I said, wait a minute, but it goes to that high end store. They're like, exactly. I was like, oh my God, you got to be kidding me right now. This can't be happening. So then they give me a little hookups like this store over here, get samples from this manufacturer. And back then, people were into labels like they are now. Well, it was worse back then. People would pay like back then $400 or $500 for a pair of jeans, which would be outrageous in the 80s, right? That's crazy. But anyhow, so that's what was going on. So that's when I learned about the clothing business. So then that's when I learned that there was freaking actual sweatshops in America and in Cali below ground. Yeah, that's when I started. Oh, the education on society in America. I'm like, wait a minute. They would have Asian, Mexican looking people. People have their sewing machines, and there's 10, 15, no, probably 10 people. And then they would have like 5 rows. Then they would have garments all over the place and stuff. I was like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me? I can have my own stuff made. They're like, yeah. If you got your own design, we'll put in your own label, your own design, your own trademark. They started listing all this stuff, and then they told me a price. And I was like, no, no, come on, man. Said something like 10, $15 per item because you're new. But if you started ordering dozens, then it could be less than that. I was like, why are people wearing other people's stuff? This makes no sense. I'll just make my own. So that's how I started making my own clothing. Literally, jeans, EB, uh, uh, sweaters, all kind of stuff. Wholesale pricing. So now I did so much stuff, it was crazy. So that's why it drives me crazy these days. Capitalism, the old school way, and then now there's so much garbage out here. All right, it's not good look to sell high tech military aircraft to Saudi Arabia because the Chinese are there and can gain access to still American technology. Make it better and more advanced, we'll be effed. That's exactly what happened. Did you know that in Trump's first term that he gave Saudi Arabia a bomb making contract? Exactly. The rest, he's an agent. The rest of the world has our information. He's an agent. He gave Saudi Arabia, Israel, which they're against us in reality. They're all agents against us. They're helping other countries. And just like you said, the Chinese are in every country right now because they can build infrastructure so fast. They have the technology. America still wants to build stuff like it's 1975. These guys actually have new materials that they can make things be built faster, quicker. I don't know about better, but faster and quicker. And they are stealing our technology. That's why America's going to be behind, and you're destroying America. All of our intellectual property rights is available for the world, and they don't even have to steal it. That's what's wild. And Americans just sit around like they don't know what a trader looks like, acts like. Trader acts like this. We have military items. We're going to give them to a Muslim country. who's friends with Russia and China. What could go wrong? Everything. I mean, this is just silliness. Don't even start, Wilty Five. You're getting me down a path, man, by saying these things because we're already effed. That's the problem. We're effed already. That's the problem. That's the problem, man. Yes, the U.S. could use the next catastrophe as an excuse to take our freedoms, like taking gold again. Exactly. Nowhere seems safe when Trump is blowing up random boats. The world is perfurcating. I don't know what that word is. If that's a word, I don't know what that is. War is just horrible. Napalm was bad. Exactly. They got the worst stuff now. It could happen again. History likes to repeat itself. Exactly. You're exactly right. This is why, again, you're new here. If Alfa Romeo, if you're new here too, like Wilty, here's the thing. You have 1 year and that's it. December 31, 2026, you have to have certain things in order. You need a banking account outside the US. You need real estate or a business outside the US. That's going to be mandatory. You need your duffel bag of cash. That is not sitting in your living room, in your bedroom. It needs to be in a location that you know about. And I'm not talking about cans in the backyard. Not in a safe deposit box. Not anything under a government control that you need to sign in, show ID, do whatever, because your sign in and your ID can be revoked at any time. Just keep all that in mind because it looks like just what I told people 5.5, 6 years ago, exactly what was going to happen because now people are getting their citizenship is possibly going to be revoked. Dual citizenship, you might have to make a choice. We already knew this was coming. He's trying to do that. And so if these things happen, again, I told you guys a long time ago, if you can get to one of the oceans or Canada, you can always leave in a boat to go to the Caribbean islands. I, for one, am not walking through Mexico to get to Belize, Costa Rica, Colombia. You can forget that. Sorry, I don't speak Spanish that good. All right? Not going to happen. And especially if I had to get familiar there, family, that not going to happen because somebody is going to be in the cartels in some trafficking scenarios and go, oh, let's go grab up these people. And then it starts. We're going to kill you if you don't do this, or we're going to kill your family member if you don't do this. Why put yourself in that position when you don't have to? Yeah, don't even get me started. Previously, Congress had blocked this because of the China threat. Exactly, Wilty Five. Exactly. This would have never happened. But now we got problems. We got problems. Wilty Five. Facts. Everyone is saying the time to get your affairs in order is now before it's too late. I'm saying it. I don't know who else has been saying. I said it though 6 years ago. I started telling people we had the 5-year plan. Okay. So 5 years ago is when, more than 5 years ago, almost six, was when I said, guys, get some stuff like I started talking about around the world real estate, no qualifying, no credit check, no barriers to entry, get your pre-construction, start getting in your investments while they're cheap because you never know. It's easier to get residency if you have bank accounts, a business, or real estate in the country. Now you have a vested interest to be in the country. You're a little more favorable. They'll give you your extensions for residency because you're like, well, I'm running a business. I got real estate here. So it's not like you're just a guest that's staying there for 7 days. So they start being a little more friendly. Okay, we'll give you your 6 months residency card and renew it as X amount of dollars. But when you're like now going, I need asylum, they're like, I'm sorry. How much money did you say you have in your bank account or that's going to be coming over here every month? See, all it changes when you're, I need help. America's a rogue nation. I need to hang out over here. Oh, hold up, man. We don't have dual citizenship for that. Hold on. Hold on. You're going to have to, you might need a visa or something. Do you have any property? You got any banks here? You got any business here? No. Oh, hold on now. Hold up. You can only stay here up to 90 days. And then after that, you got to start paying the visa fees. Hold on. Residency, you don't have nothing here. So you're just going to have to keep paying. So that's the thing, right? And that's why you need to go down the path that we've been saying. When I told you guys the countdown from 3 years ago, we're now down to 1 year. Get your debt cleared as much as possible so you have a disposable income to make investments. That's the key to the whole thing. Clean up your credit. So then you can get 0% interest when the United States is going to give, the banks are going to go up to 36 months. There was already one that came out and I can't find it, but I know it's going to be out next year for sure. And people need to feast on that, having 0% for whatever you buy and pay it up to 3 months later. Of course, you can't just, you're still going to have to pay like 1% or whatever, usually, or whatever it is, of the payment amount. But the point I'm trying to make is it's 0% interest, other people's money. All right. And then that takes you out of having to pay that 20% or 17% or 27% or 30% interest. That goes a long way. All right. So that's the two things. And you need your assets that pay you. Liabilities don't pay you. Like owning a house does not pay you. The only reason a house could pay you is because you paid it. Again, a lot of people are new here. Let me explain. If you buy a $500,000 house, most people don't realize they have a loan. They don't realize they're paying most of the interest early. So, $500,000 house at let's call it a 6% interest rate. I don't even know if you can get that right now, but let's say you could. Your payment is definitely going to be $3,000 per month just on interest. In order to pay the principal, what? They're going to add like a $3,400 payment, 35, let's call it. Now you got to pay insurance and taxes. So now these are the things that people, for whatever reason, when they own a home, they just dismiss. But now insurance would be 6 grand, at least 7, maybe, because it's one in a lot of states, it's 1.5%. So you might be 6 or 7 grand. Let's call it 6 grand in insurance. So that's 600. So you're going to be at 4 Gs. And then your insurance, depending on where you are, let's just use 3,000. So you're going to be at 45 to 48, 5 Gs a month. Okay. So now you say, okay, Eric, it's 5 Gs a month. You put down, I'll have to say it's a $550,000 house, let's call it. You put down 50 Gs. All right. So now we got that $4,500 roughly a month that we got to pay. We put down 50 Gs. I got a calculator, by the way. And and by the way, Google 2 years ago changed how they show their mortgage online. There's a reason. We used to talk about this. And I used to show people when people would say my house is worth X amount of dollars later. And then I would show them because it would always give a calculation of 30 years, 360 payments, how much all their principal interest would cost them. And it didn't include the taxes and insurance, right? So that's the funny part. So let's see. I got to go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, man, it's late night. Just a second. I need to do something. Hold on. I gotta send a message because I was gonna tell somebody I needed to talk to them today. Okay. Oh man. Just a sec. Okay, let me get this calculator up because I'm having a hard time, but okay, here we go. Since I can't get it on my screen, I don't know why I'm having this breakdown. It doesn't like it. Oh, it's up. I just can't see it. It's black. All right, I'll use my phone. So anyhow, $4,500 times 360. Now this is only if you keep your house for 4,500 times 360. Um, that is 1.620, ladies and gentlemen. So 30 years from now, when your $550,000 house and you're sitting there all happy, proud, and you're going, hey, my house is worth $1.8 million, $1.9 million. So I would used to tell my neighbors and stuff, I was a bubble kind of burster kind of guy, but the thing is, I wasn't trying to burst the bubble. I was just like common sense. I said, yeah, your house should be worth $1.9 million because you spent $1.9 million over the last 30 years. What if it was $1.1 million? Then I got bad news for you. You just spent 1.6. So people ignore and never mind that I needed my shingles fixed or a new roof or my dishwasher, my refrigerator, my washer and dryer. Those don't last 30 years. This ain't 1950 and 60 where appliances lasted like forever. You disregard the appliances, you disregard the maintenance and upkeep of your lawn, you disregard any paint that needs to be redone, you disregard the deck that you built out back, you disregard the kitchen that you remodeled, you disregard the bathroom you remodeled, all that money spent, you don't care. You're just like, throw it out the window and then go, oh, my house is worth 1.7. I'm like, it damn well better be worth 1.9, 1.7 according to the numbers. And by the way, you spend a hell of a lot more money over the last 30 years on your house in maintenance and upkeep and repairs. So your house better be worth a lot, 1.8, 1.9 just to recoup your money in essence. So when you start looking at things like that, then you start to understand what's happening, right? If I could afford to leave the USA, why I would be on a plane tomorrow. Hey, yeah, well, see, it isn't just that easy. Yeah, I listen to Doug Casey, but I don't get 20 million. I don't know who Doug Casey is. 20 million. Is that what he makes? I guess if a guy makes 20 million, he'll be on Google, right? Doug Casey, uh, international man, comes up on Google. So looks like the guy travels or something because I saw something, The Last Frontiers. Doug Casey's international man, personal freedom, news and already hit a tipping. That means he's talking gold, silver, precious metals, which people should be grabbing a little bit. I'm not a proponent of grabbing a lot because when you hold gold and silver, if there's an emergency, you're not moving with it. You're not running out nowhere when you got a couple 100 pounds worth of gold bars or gold coins or silver coins or platinum plate. No, that stuff is not light. And whenever there's a crisis, depending on where you are, dictates what's going to happen. Because I'm going to use Venezuela. That's what I used before when Venezuela supposedly collapsed, and they did kind of. People who had gold, first of all, the government did just what the U.S. did. We need gold, be patriotic, because I think it was Britain. The UK doesn't want to give us our gold back. They're holding it. And I'm like, man, what's wrong with these people? Why are you giving these freaking descendants of, all they do is rob, steal. That's their MO. Fight each other to take other people's stuff. That's their MO. So you really gonna give them your money and then come back later and, hey, where's my $500 billion in gold? And you think they're just going to be like, oh, here you go. Come on. So, anyhow, that's what happened. They didn't get their money back from the UK, just like Russia hasn't gotten their gold back from the United States. Same kind of stuff. So then the people who had the gold and silver, you know what the government did? No, your gold's no good here. We're not, you're going to be patriotic. We're going to confiscate it. Okay. So you know what happens? Because there's hardly any food, people become refugees. They're willing to walk that couple thousand miles to come to the USA across the border for a better life. And before they get there, though, they're thinking, hey, man, I got some few ounces of gold and silver. So they go over, cross the border into Colombia. Colombia goes, huh, huh, I know it's a bad time over in Venezuela. I know you need some of that gold exchanged into some money, fiat money, but we're not giving you the COMEX price of what, let's just say it was $25 an ounce, right? You're not getting $25 an ounce. We know you're in a crisis mode. So how about, is 13 good? All you got is some bricks, some coins, some stuff you can't eat. What are you going to do? In another country, carrying that crap, and they tell you whatever price, but it's not going to be the price that you saw on the exchange or anywhere near it because it's in a crisis mode. You're in crises. I can take advantage of you. And that's what happened when they went to Colombia, because now they're refugees. They need help. They need the money. They're thinking, oh, all this gold and silver stuff I got. Same thing. And then Venezuela started confiscating people's gold and silver. Same thing America did in the 1930s. Same stuff. So again, if you're going to have gold and silver, I say always have a little bit. Nothing wrong with that. But storing it in a vault, again, you guys can Google. Since we have new people here, you can Google. There's people that have stored stuff in vaults, and the United States government raided the vault and stole people's stuff and then told people, prove it is your stuff. We think you're trafficking. We think it's illegal goods. Prove it. So, of course, some take them to court and still prove it. Let's see your inventory list. Right. Mm-hmm. So, trust me, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this Doug Casey character, I've never heard of him. I've never seen him. Zero Hedge. He featured in Zero Hedge. Ron Paul. I agree with what he's saying, though. Yeah, I agree. A second passport, if you can get them. Nowadays, it's getting harder and harder. I agree with this. Why making 300,000 no longer means you're secure? He's exactly right. He's right about this. Okay. The coming AI bust. Why Trump-onomics is riding a time bomb. Okay. Dude's on the same page. Okay. Seems like he's telling people the right thing. Can't say nothing bad about that. I love anybody that talks the proper way to help people. I could definitely see that happening. Exactly, Will T5. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to wrap this up. It's been a pleasure. I hope I see you guys on Monday night, because this is a great conversation, and you guys know I can keep going on and on and on. I've been in the trenches against the government for a long time. This, again, IRS is after. This is what the government can do. They can confiscate any of your assets, including anything deeded to you, anything titled to you, anything without due process. Let's just get straight. They can make up anything that you're in a court of law. They can actually just indict you if it's federal. They can do it. Doesn't have to be provable, because once they indict you, that puts you having to defend yourself, wasting money with lawyers. The lawyers under a federal system, they're not nice. You walk in there and they go, you got a federal case. First thing you're going to hear is crazy numbers. I need 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 retainer. Retainer? Haven't even done anything. Yeah, that's the numbers. It's crazy numbers depending on the severity of your situation. Then now you have a problem with relationships because now they're questioning what's happening, what's going on. You must have did something. Government wouldn't be after you, right? So all of these biases, people start like, oh, nah, government's all good. They don't, nah, they're not just after nobody. You did something. What did you do? And then you start explaining, nothing. What do you mean nothing? They raided my manager's office. What manager? Property manager. Okay. Yeah. Like, you must have did something. Yeah. Yeah, I did something. I rented freaking property out. That's what I did, man. My property manager sometime paid my mortgages. And then if he sent whatever profits was left over after he took his 10% cut, then I would pay the mortgages. So, yeah, just like everybody. Yeah, but you're in court. You must have did something wrong. Are you not hearing me right now? There's nothing wrong. They're just trying to mess up disparaging things because I own X amount of property. They're like, that doesn't make sense. I said, I know that doesn't make sense. That's what I'm trying to tell you. There's no law against this. Like, these people wouldn't believe me. Like Peter Schiff's bank. I don't. Peter Schiff's bank. What is this stuff? We got some guys here that knows something. What is this bank? Peter Schiff has a bank? How? How did they let this dude have a bank? If he's got a, oh, here we go. Peter Schiff's offshore bank. Euro Pacific Bank was shut down after being suspended by Puerto Rican regulators on June 20. Oh, hey, Puerto Rico's still United States territory. This is no shocker. Oh my God, Puerto Rican regulators. Here we go. Due to insolvency and non-compliance issues, again, I can't believe nothing coming out of the Fed's mouths because all they do is lie. Unless I talk to them in personally, I can't believe their BS. The bank's closure was also linked to a broader international investigation by the J5 into suspected money laundering and tax evasion. Schiff reached a settlement to liquidate the bank, which included returning deposits, selling the bank's gold, and paying a $300,000 fine. Okay, that's what it was. He's holding some gold. He's holding something else, probably some crypto. Yeah, so yeah, makes sense. I never knew. I'm gonna have to find out if he ever talks about this. Schiff, yeah, what was he doing wrong exactly? They're saying he was money laundering and tax evasion. Right, because in Puerto Rico, they said you didn't have to pay taxes as long as you lived in Puerto Rico for like what, 2 or 3 years. So you didn't have to pay any federal taxes, right? Wasn't that the deal? Operation Atlantis. Of course, the feds are going to say crazy stuff. And here we go. Agreed to settlement to liquidate the bank, which included returning 66.7 million in deposits. Damn. 100% of their money back to the bank, and no customer. Euro Pacific. Okay. See, you can't help people out here, Peter Schiff. You must have did something illegal, man, by having a having a bank that has to be regulated. You must have been doing something illegal. Oh man, this is crazy. This is crazy. A boutique online bank based in San Juan. It was fintech. So then he does what we all do. Peter Schiff files civil rights suit alleging conspiracy. Good for him. Good for him. You know what? I'm going to go check this out, see what he says. Because it's not, he's going to say some stuff that people are going to go, oh, no, he must have been doing. I guarantee you that's what's going to happen. He's going to say stuff and people go, oh, no, he must have did something wrong. He's going to sit there and explain, I did exactly this. I was regulated by this, by the government, and all this stuff. Now they say what I was doing is illegal. He must have been getting nice little deposits going. supposedly nothing, but all his clients still don't have their money from the company he sold it to. So he does still talk about it. I'm going to check it out. This sounds about right. I'm telling you, I already know the playbook. I went through the playbook. I know their playbook. This is what they do. This is what they do. And the fact that he has money and he has assets, they are trying to strip him of the assets, which is what they did when they got the depositor situation out of the hands, assets under management. He could use that for other things. And they said, okay, we're going to strip that away. But now the people's money is still in jeopardy. No surprise. Um, I gotta find out about this. I'm pretty sure I already know the story. He's gonna sit there and say I didn't do nothing wrong. I already know what's gonna happen. I already know. Same playbook, different story, and the government lies. Like in my case, they said I stole $350,000. So let me show you guys something, just so you guys get an understanding. Federal government, right? What is it? What do you call the laws? Oh man, when you call uh, federal guidelines, federal government, uh, federal guidelines for stealing $350,000, the equivalent of probably $1 million at this point, but we'll call it stealing $350,000, is what sentence range? Here we go. 24 to 30 months. U.S. sentencing guidelines at 11 levels, 24 to 30 months minimum. But the actual sentence depends heavily on the criminal's whatever history, specific fraud type, judicial discretion, with many sentences falling below guideline minimums in practice. Okay, so that number is now where they go with their federal sentencing guidelines. So when they say he stole or whatever his thing was, what was that? It was 66 million, right? So he's like the money guy, the money loan guy from New York. He's from Sacramento, actually. Anyhow, uh, got no love for his asshole. I was like, but that's another story, another day. But the point is, um, he gets 25 to 30 years. What was his? The money store, mortgage guy. Used to have Rizzuto as his talking head promoting his business. They were big time. But so same as him, he had 66.7 million. So yeah, he's going to be in that 30-year situation if he had to do a lawsuit. So of course, whatever he says, he's a white guy, so they're going to make a deal. You give us the money back, we take your gold, we do this, we take your deposited stuff, and we take whatever other stuff you got. Him you up. But because Peter Schiff is like me, he's a business guy. He doesn't need he can still move without it doing anything, right? You can still form businesses, you can still do whatever you need to do. There's no problem. So I am going to have to find out over the weekend what happened. This is a great story. Thank you for letting me know about that. And I'm pretty sure he's not even upset. You know what I mean, other than the fact that it happened, I'm pretty sure he's probably thinking, or it happened to him too, going, I can't even believe this is happening. It's like throws you off because you're thinking the government would never try to jack you on BS. So, and I'm going to tell you right now, the government will still jack you because when they told me in order to do an indictment, they lied. Similar to what Trump's Halligan girl was doing to try to get Comey and what they tried to do to get Letitia James and all those guys. Same thing. They just made some stuff up, lied so they can get an indictment. So then now they can arrest you, put pressure on you, or make you have to get a lawyer to put pressure on you. And so That's their MO. That's what they do. That's why Trump and their regime is going around for their enemy list, trying to get indictments on people. But the thing is, they're going, this didn't even happen. But they can still get the indictment. That's the problem, right? So that's where it goes. And if you're ordinary citizen, not a DA, not a person that has unlimited funds, because like I said, when I walked in, dudes are talking 30, 40, 50K just in deposit for the case. Straight up. And I don't know what that is in today's money, but in today's money, that's probably a few $100,000 just to see you on arraignment or something. It was crazy. So I was sitting there, like sitting across from the U.S. attorney, and he's sitting there, and I actually have documentation of payments and everything going to the mortgage companies, the property manager. We have a spreadsheet, everything. So I'm like, okay, this all BS. This will be over shortly. I go see him face to face. Here, man. Here's all the bank statements. Here's everything. I got nothing to hide because I'm not doing nothing. And he says to me, after I show him all this stuff, he goes, yeah, because I told him, I said, I can't account for $15,500 right now because the savings and loan crisis happened. And you know that their banks closed. And back then there was no online stuff. So I needed them to give me the statements. I said, but that's a far cry from 350, allegedly. He's like, wow, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you can go on about your business, drop whatever you're trying to do. He candidly looks at me straight in the face and he says, I can't do that. I was like, are you serious right now? You can't do that. What do you mean you can't do that? What are you talking about right now? So you know I didn't do no fraudulent $350,000, whatever the frick you're talking about. He goes, yeah, but it took us 3 to 4 years of investigating. I said, so? What's that? What's that got to do with me? That's not my problem. You believe these assholes they lied to you. You believed it, so you can do the right thing. No, sorry, not going to happen. Tell your client, I'll see you in court. If you don't want to take a plea deal, then I'm going to come and give you. I was like, is this a joke right now? I'm looking around like, is this a joke right now? This is how America moves. I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. Crazy. Okay. Schiff made a website about it. Oh, cool. I'm going to check it out, man. I want to see. I'm pretty sure it's going to mirror some of the things I just told you guys. I'm pretty sure because it's unbelievable what our federal government does. All for some reason. Again, all for some reason. Anyhow, I'm going to wrap this up. I'll talk with you guys later. I love you guys very much. And again, keep your head out there about you. And please like, subscribe, and click the bell below so you get the latest updates. Just make sure you keep your head out there because a lot of people under stress and duress, they don't know about findhelp.org. They don't know that they can get their debt consolidated versus having to file bankruptcy or worse and not pay and have debt collections and mess up their credit for a long time because they'll never be able to pay that off and it'll be on your credit and the way their credit systems work now. But now you have a chance. Tracy.sharpe with the E at the end at moneyladder.com. Call her up. Let her know you're from the SSN Nation. She can get your debt resolution resolved in 1.5, 2 years and in good standing on the other side. And you'll be up there in the 750s to 770s and higher. We're trying to get you to make sure you're at 775 by the December 31st next year, because I want you to be able to take advantage of all those 0% for 36 months that I believe will be available. This is going to be something for the ages, and you're going to have to protect yourself and still be able to make money. So just keep in mind, I talk to trading. I talk a lot of things right now because you're going to have to be independent. Don't think you're going to be able to carry on with a business or company indefinitely because you don't know what the future holds with regard to AI, artificial intelligence, background checks, who's going to be in charge of what, because they don't believe in merit-based hiring. They go with the good old boys. So you never know. Even your skill set, like nurses and and medical professionals, has now been downgraded not to be a professional organization type anymore from the Trump administration. So now there's going to be fallout from that, which were generally livable wage jobs. What's going to happen after you remove professional off of there? And now you don't need certifications anymore. You don't have to do ongoing training anymore, putting American citizens and anybody in the health industry in an unsafe environment. This is what we're talking about here. Like we have a plant, like a Russian plant. This is crazy. Just keep in mind, all these things are major. Don't dismiss them. You better start protecting yourself and your family. And a lot of people are losing their mind right now. They've lost their job. They don't have anything. And they don't know what's going to happen next month, next week, or tomorrow. May not even have any food. So that means something has to happen that's going to be bad, because those people will not go hungry. They will not go without money. They will not try to feed their family. That means they will have to break in potentially somebody's house or break in and hurt people to try to get them to give up their crypto. Just saying, be careful out there. And with all that said, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you always keep your head up, keep moving, and I'm out.